to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan-Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios. The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Tennessee hate week for a lot of Bama fans. 2:30 ABC this week, Alabama and Tennessee, and those teams have some question marks, but they're still in the playoff hunt. Georgia and Texas, the prime time game in the SEC. All week to talk about those two. We'll look back at what we saw this past weekend as we get going. LTD and B, Tyler and Forrester behind the big glass already this morning. You've consumed Monday Morning Live with Luke and Bill and the Middle Eight with Brandon Marcello and us. Later on, Brock Heward comes in with LT at 1 o'clock after we hear from the coaches in the overtime to do Unlocked, and they'll talk a little college and a little NFL for you right there. But let's go back to what we saw over the weekend. And listen, we're going to get into Alabama a ton here. So let's start with the biggest game in the country. And that was Oregon and Ohio State, and then we'll circle back to Alabama and the SEC. But the biggest game in the country, Oregon beats Ohio State 32-31. A couple of trends here. One was a trend breaker, and one is not broken yet. Ryan Day's now 1-7 versus a top 5 team. He's lost 4 straight. Dan Lanning finally got a signature big game win. But, man, he will gamble and not do it by the book. And, it may have cost him a couple of games last year against Washington and Kalen DeBoer, but this time it works out for him. That's a big win for Oregon, and Dylan Gabriel showed up.
Yeah, look, Dylan Gabriel didn't make any mistakes, played clean football, and was really, really good. I thought Will Howard was really good. I mean, look, that game lived up to its billing. I don't know if the atmosphere seemed, maybe because it just wasn't as dark in Eugene.
I don't think NBC presented the atmosphere very well. The crowd because I just talked to Brandon, who was there, and he's like, it's one of the loudest atmospheres I've ever been in. It just didn't come across that way on NBC. Like, I was going back and forth between that and LSU Ole Miss. The LSU Ole Miss atmosphere,
yeah,
I mean,
so much better.
I just felt like I was at the stadium when I was on that game.
I think that's traditionally the way NBC does sports. It's always been a little bit more buttoned up, you know.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like it
either.
Yeah,
watching Crip Sims in the studio.
Give me the atmosphere. I want the atmosphere.
Don't you feel like Sunday Night Football sort of that way,
a little
too?
bit. A little bit, yeah.
I mean, that's always the biggest game every week, but it never feels like it is.
And I don't know who the guy on the
atmosphere.
field for NBC was, like Fareed something. He looked like he was doing like motivational speaking at a circuit tour or something.
And their sideline reporter has a British accent. I mean, she's a soccer reporter. I mean, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
It just feels weird.
Todd Blackledge was the only thing that felt like college football in that whole thing.
But it was a great game. But Ryan Day, you knew one of the narratives was going to come out. Either Dan Lanning or Ryan Day, once again, can't win a big game. And now for Ryan Day. I think Ohio State wins out.
You think?
I think they do.
Play Ohio, and they play Oregon again if they do.
Yeah. And, and I think they probably beat Oregon in the rematch, but that was an evenly matched game.
That's what Lugan, Bill, and I said, and I was going to ask you guys this too, that you walk away from that, and if they played 10 times, Luke said it'd be 5-5.
Probably, yeah.
And there's a good chance they're going to play 3 times. However the bracket shakes out in the college football playoffs, because both these teams will be in there. And that was, back to our Floribama show, a lot of people predicted that you'd get 3 meetings for Oregon and Ohio State. I predicted that the third one would be in the national championship game, that these were the 2 best teams in the country. We'll get to Texas in a second, but we were about to get a lot of these 2 teams, and they are, to me, a cut above everyone else.
I guess, I don't know. The one thing I come out of this weekend, I don't really know if there's elite teams or not. I mean, Texas at time looks elite, but they were playing a Oklahoma team that was without their top 5 receivers.
You go back to Friday, I kicked myself. I was going to say whoever had the better game rushing the football, Will Howard or Dylan Gabriel, that their feet would play a big part in that game. That 27-yard touchdown run by Gabriel in the second half, that was a big play in the game.
Oh, yeah. A guy who has not run a ton this year. I mean, he hasn't killed people with his feet, but that one run might have been the difference in the game. But
you knew he could back at Oklahoma and UCF. He did it there.
And Will Howard had one too many runs.
One too many.
Or at least for him.
At least a few too many steps in that one run. And then we talked about it on Friday. I think we all said, man, Evan Stewart, where has he been? Well, he showed up, man. He made some big catches, 7 for 149.
Yeah.
Evan Stewart was there, man.
And, and Oregon played I said Dylan Gabriel played clean football, but Oregon just altogether, 3 penalties, no turnovers. So outside of a couple of those gambles, I mean, is Oregon the second, third best team in college football? I think guess. So. Yeah.
I mean, I just talked to Brandon about that. Like, if you say Ohio State's number 1 or number 2, or Oregon's number 1 or number 2, then Ohio State's got to be like 3 or 4 for you.
And Texas is probably number 1.
Yeah. When Trayshawn Holden made the bonehead, got the bonehead play in ejection, I really thought, because they were already down 2 receivers, Oregon was, and you still had Evan Stewart, but boy, they didn't have a lot behind him. I really thought that might cost him the game. I mean, that was just such a stupid penalty.
Spitting on somebody?
Yeah. I mean, right in front of a referee, too. It's like, I mean, you watch the replay, the ref's standing looking right at it. He immediately flagged it.
And you really get nothing out of it because he's got the face guard on. It's just basically he just has to turn on his windshield wipers at that point. It's a disgusting thing to be spit on or for someone to spit at you. And
it's
I'm
more
okay.
Impressive that he was able to aim it through the face mask and hit him.
Like he's done this before.
But he got it through his own face mask. Yeah,
I'm okay with the immediate ejection.
It's an automatic.
Yeah, that's one of the most disrespectful things you can do.
Yeah.
Even though there are penalties where you can totally just kill somebody on the field.
Sure.
And you get a 15-yard penalty and then you live to fight another day. Spitting, though.
It's not going to kill anybody.
We draw the line there.
Right.
But I'm okay with that. Another thing that blew me away from this game, other than the spitting, was the pass interference, offensive pass interference, which you don't always get. Mike Evans, my pro receiver for the Buccaneers, gets away with it all the time. He initiates contact and will give you a little, as he's separating, will push you away. Ball's right there. Did you think that was pass interference on Jeremiah Smith there? Late in the game?
I don't know.
Offensive pass interference?
I don't know. Boy, that kid's good, though.
He's amazing. In the college game, more often than not, I would say that was not interference. The pro game, it is 100%, but it's officiated totally differently.
They're always looking for that arm.
In Columbus.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those you don't get it on the road, you get it at home.
Yeah. Another thing from that game before we jump into Alabama and South Carolina and everything you want to hear from that. By the way, if you can jump in and give me cut 11 and 12 for me there, Tyler. The onside kick that Dan Lanning called, where you kick it, when you kick it line drive into an up man, and then you play the bounce. Is that the future of onside kicks?
I've seen it before. You've got to make sure that you hit that guy, though.
You do.
If not, though, you've got a squib that's probably going to get filled by an up back.
Or a game we'll get to in a minute. South Carolina, the English on that thing was
that
amazing.
Was crazy. But if you can drill a guy, because now it doesn't have to go 10 yards, right? Now
it's hit him now, so
that's
it's a
right.
live ball,
It's a live ball, so I don't have to worry about the 10 yards.
And we see the traditional onside kick, other than the one we saw in Tuscaloosa. Most people recover these no problem now, other than the one we saw in Tuscaloosa. The percentage rate of getting these now that we've divided the field up in half, it seems like it's 1% now. And then we saw 2 this weekend. But that seems like the way to go in the future.
Yeah,
now,
but if
just
you drill it
right at somebody.
if you're a special teams coach, don't you just coach your guys to get away?
But if it comes at you pretty fast. Yeah, I mean, that got on him in a hurry.
I mean, other than Superman, there's not a lot of us that are going to be able to dodge a speeding bullet.
And those guys on the front line aren't exactly wide receivers. Yeah. So, I mean, a guy catching that thing is going to be really, really difficult. I mean, if you're going to go surprise onside kick, I'd rather do probably that than just about anything else. If I got a kicker with good enough aim.
And Dan Lanning, by the way, look for a rule change in the offseason. Putting 12 on the field to eat time.
Yeah.
A brilliant move because you got an extra defender. You try to prevent a big play, and it's going to burn time up with 10 seconds. Burns 4 seconds on it. I mean, that's a brilliant move too. But it's got to be a rule in the future that I can get that time back.
And it was only a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah,
and that's. But
I agree with you. The biggest thing.
Yeah, well, they running clock right there. Yeah. I mean, he would every single time would trade 5 yards for 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah, with 10 seconds left.
Yeah,
I'll give you 5 for 5 seconds
Absolutely.
or 4 seconds.
He'll do that every single time.
It's got to be a rule change in the future.
I don't know how you enforce that, though.
You got to give me my time back.
Yeah, but how many times have we seen that?
Yeah,
but I guess you'll see it more.
That's what I'm saying. Dan Lanning, the chemist here, goes into the lab and says,
shit-eating grin nonstop.
I mean, do you not? I mean, I got to get my time back. If he's going to manipulate the system, I've got to be able to say, hey, I tell you what, I'm going to decline my 5 yards. I'll take my 5 seconds back.
Yeah.
It ended up being a big few seconds.
Oh, no, absolutely it did. I mean, Will Howard, now all of a sudden, if he's got 4 or 5 seconds, he's able to get down and they've got time to do something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're going to make the field goal or whatever. It may be a chunk in the end zone, but they've got at least one more play. No, it ended up being very key.
He does some stupid stuff sometimes.
He does not do it by the book.
Aggressive stuff, never by the book.
Yeah, I mean, if I were an Oregon fan, it would be maddening to have him as a coach in big games.
Well, I
because
think
it is never comfortable football.
Can you imagine that style in the SEC? You know, it works for Oregon.
It does, and maybe it'll continue to work in the Big Ten.
Hey, keep that in mind with Kalen DeBoer in just a second. Here's Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning, joy versus relief after the big win.
You know what's so hard about football is this game is such an emotional game. It's such an impactful game, and in moments like this where you want to be filled with complete joy, the relief is one of the biggest feelings you feel, right? Because of how hard your guys worked, how bad you know they wanted it, but it's never about the team that wants it the most. It's never about the team that just has great emotion. It's about the team that executes. So, you know, I'm filled with great excitement. I'm really proud of our guys, but I'm also really excited to, you know, figure out what we can go attack and improve, because the team we are today, October 12th, is not going to be the same team we are in December.
Yeah, you really you want to win that game, right? But there's so much more left on the season for both these teams, likely against each other. It's hard to beat a team twice. We may see it hard to beat them 3 times, whatever happens. I want you to listen to Ryan Day and then talk to me about where their mindset should be, because in old school football, back in the olden days, last year, this would have been a pretty big loss for Ohio State. Here's Ryan Day about how bad this one hurts.
When it comes down to offense, defense, stats, all that, what's the number one thing? The number one thing is to win the game, and it didn't happen tonight. But in terms of message with the team, it's halfway through the season. This one's going to hurt. It does hurt. Should have won the game. Give Oregon credit. They played well, but, you know, just too many things that we could have done better in this game that we didn't. And so we've got a lot of football ahead of us, and we got to get those things fixed.
So how do you handle this with your locker room?
Well, I mean, Blake in the mybookie.ag chat room says, so does Ryan Day have a big game problem now? And I think the answer is yeah.
Well, I mean, that was a 1-point loss. I really felt like Ohio State was going to win the game almost the entire time. I felt like Ohio State was a little bit better. Obviously, playing in Autzen
they
was a lot different.
They got away from the run in the second half.
Yeah, they did.
If I'm going to question anything, that's going to be it.
Travion had a nice game. Quinchon had the touchdown, but you got to give those guys the ball more.
Travion Henderson had 10 carries and 87 yards.
That's right.
He was averaging 8.7 a carry, and he got 10 carries.
And then, you know, Judkins only had 23 yards, but he only had 11 touches. So, I would go to those guys more. But 3 consecutive losses against Michigan. So, and then you've got the Ohio State, the Georgia. Where are the other 2 I'm looking for?
Yeah, they're 1-7 in those games. I would imagine
Alabama 2020.
Alabama 2020.
Yeah, and then one other one. Anyway, they're big games. It was a 1-point loss. I look at the remainder of the schedule. The toughest game is at Penn State in 2 weeks. I think they're much better than Penn State. Penn State was controlled the entire game until USC gave that game away.
20-6 in that game. USC was leading that game, and Penn State came back. Drew Aller had 3 interceptions, but at the end, Drew Aller looked really good because they let him throw it deep.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys, how much sound you had in that game.
Oh, that was the
back
game.
and forth. I had most of it.
Yeah. I get way too much Gary Danielson now.
Yeah, that was the thing that ran me off that game on the sound. Was
but
Gary.
He did prove this. I mean, or he brought this up. Tyler Warren, number 44. It was amazing. You got a 6'6" senior tight end. They ran their entire offense through him. 17 grabs, but I mean they were doing trick plays. I mean they were doing everything to 44.
He did it. He ran the ball once. He had a snap once. He was the center on one play.
On a play where he caught the ball.
Yeah, and he was an FBS record-setting tight end.
Yeah. Basically a Hail Mary in regulation that he went up and just high pointed, and he was the best player on the field Saturday. But I can't believe Lincoln Riley and the play calls and the clock management down the stretch in regulation before the game went to overtime.
Yeah, he took all of his timeouts into overtime.
It was ridiculous. There was no urgency at all.
You only get to use one of them in overtime, by the way, no matter how many you take in there.
I didn't get it. And now 3 consecutive losses. And everything in the middle of October is done. Like, you're out of the Big Ten. You're obviously out of the college football playoff. Just horrific.
Looks like a 6-6, 7-5 team. But the reason we were talking about that is Ohio State, Penn State is on the horizon here.
Yep.
And I'm with you, Lance. I feel like Ohio State wins that game, and then we just end up getting Oregon and Ohio State again.
Yeah,
in Indianapolis, and that's going to be for the
now
bye.
We'll see. Indiana, one of 2 teams now, along with Army, that have yet to trail this year.
Very sick.
Indiana has played.
I know, but they've got Nebraska this weekend, so we'll learn a little bit more about Indiana.
Yeah, I don't know which bowl they're going to end up with, but it's going to be a destination that is not going to be desirable.
I don't know in today's college football. I know college football wants to be the NFL, and it's getting to that point. Back to Dan Lanning, the team we are right now, we're not going to be that team in December. I do think there could be a team we're not even talking about right now that gets hot at the right moment. And I think much like the NFL, you want to be healthy and you want to really get going late November, early December. Yeah.
Tyler Booker joins us at 9:30. So we're about to talk a little Alabama, South Carolina, and then more with him when he joins us. Auburn off this week. He's back. They're back at Missouri, who killed UMass on the road this past weekend. On the roof is where Greg from Pell City will get Storm Restoration Roofing. Website, stormrestorationroofing.com. You can go check out everything they offer right there. But Greg from Pell City is family-owned, has been for over 20 years, and he loves to give you that free, no cost, no obligation roof inspection. Free inspection, no obligation. 205-542-3531. 205-542-3531, or look him up on Facebook, Greg from Pell City. When the unexpected happens, have that number on standby. They're very professional, the best in the business, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they give you a free quote on damage or when it's time to replace your roof. And storm damage, they do it. Insurance roofing claims, they do it. Inspections, they do it all. If you're selling a house, buying a house, get that roof inspected with our man, Greg from Pell City, Storm Restoration Roofing, 205-542-3531, or Greg from Pell City on Facebook. Also by our friends at Inverness Country Club.
Inverness Country Club, tomorrow night. We're going to be out there 4 until 7 o'clock. Make sure you join us. We've got a big event. Our friend Lauren Sisler, the book release. Shatterproof. The book launch tomorrow night. We're going to be doing a show 4 to 5 at Inverness Country Club, and then we'll be hanging out. We've got food. We've got drink. It's an open house. So you've heard us talking about Inverness Country Club for the last couple of months. Come out, see it for yourself. Love to hang out with you. Love to watch the Q&A with our friend Lauren Sisler. Again, that's at the Inverness Country Club tomorrow, 4 to 7. They've got memberships that fit everyone. Maybe you work from home. What about working from the club while they watch your kid? It's a great place to network. Stop by. See us tomorrow, Inverness Country Club. For more information, iccalabama.com.
Alabama holds on, beats South Carolina 27-25. Here's Kalen DeBoer after a nail-biter at the end at home against the Gamecocks.
Another game down to the wire. We're kind of getting accustomed to those. I think there's some things that we can certainly do to make sure that it doesn't get to that point. But, we always talk about finding a way to win. And as many times it maybe looked like we weren't, we did. And the guys, I guess the biggest thing I'm proud of is the response, starting early in the week. Today, there's things I think that happened because of the way they came ready to practice, whether it was just a response Sunday after we got together and kind of talked over the truth of what we had happen a week ago. And then Tuesday, just back to work. So, very, very unified group that understands that there's still so much more we can get better at.
14-0 at one point, and it looked like you're going to go into the locker room controlling this game, and South Carolina didn't have much of a pulse. And then
4:38 to go. You're right, 14-0. And, man, that was crazy because I was like, Alabama's off. They look a little lethargic, but they're going to end up winning this game by 28 plus.
That's right.
And then that little flash, and that gave South Carolina all of the confidence they needed.
Just at the end of the half there, you let South Carolina score. You get a personal foul, which to this moment I haven't seen exactly what happened. I think it officially was called on Caleb Odom based on the box score, based on the play-by-play, but ESPN never showed what happened.
He didn't.
That personal foul on a kick return.
You would think it's something after a play.
But
they never showed us what it was.
That's right. And that pushes you back to the point where now a safety is in the equation. And I don't know if you noticed, Alabama was struggling to protect Jalen Milroe in that game.
Yeah, not a great play call there.
Yeah, because South Carolina is, first of all, to defend Alabama's offensive front. South Carolina's defensive line is as good as anybody's you'll play.
Oh, that one kid.
Boy, those guys are monsters.
At least the two edge rushers.
Yeah, the two edge rushers.
I don't know about the middle.
In the pass game. Let me say that.
Some people would say that if they're so good there, maybe you should be going.
Yeah.
If you can't go around them, you can't go over, maybe you should go through them.
Go between them, yeah.
Well, in most of those situations, that's one of those in a one-on-one, Milroe could just get around that guy probably. But, man, that dude was wreaking havoc.
But it comes down, and I'm going to be very transparent. I came in here after Wisconsin. I was like, man, Nick Saban would have ran it into the locker room with two kneel downs, and they would have gone in at halftime happy with their lead. But they trusted Jalen, the aggressiveness, and boom, boom, Alabama had a touchdown. That game was over up in Madison.
That's right.
Okay, it's 14-7. You're not playing great. You get that penalty now, half the distance to the goal line. And they are still aggressive. They're throwing the football.
Yep.
And you get that safety, and then they get another field goal, and all of a sudden it's 14-0 to 14-12 going into the locker room.
Yeah,
and then they come out and they go 16 plays on you.
I got a stat for you on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, so they've gone 16 plays. Wisconsin's gone 17 plays. And Vandy's gone 17 plays.
Yeah, okay, you want the stat right now?
Yeah.
David Hell, I've got 2 seconds to pull this up. David Hell, who covers college football, he takes a deep look into statistics a lot for ESPN. And
I lost a lot of respect. I was reading an article yesterday, and he called Taylor Swift a goddess. I had to go back. I was like,
some people she is. I mean,
did Heather Dinich write this, though?
Some people she is.
Seemed like a chick that wrote it.
From 2014 through 2023, a full decade of football under Nick Saban, Alabama gave up one 16-plus touchdown drive, 16-plus play touchdown drive. One.
3 times this year.
3 times this year.
Yeah, 3 times.
I mean, that's amazing for an entire decade of football.
Yeah, no, it is.
They gave up one touchdown drive of 16 plays or more, and they've done it 3 times this year.
Yeah.
That is bend and break. You're bending and breaking.
You're bending and breaking.
I'm seeing problems on both sides of the football, though. It's not just defense.
Our friends at Odie's will bring us some sound from the other locker room because Shane Beamer said something that blew up on our social media platforms. But first, tell us about our friends at Odie's.
Yeah, 2 great locations, the original and Crestline, newest location in Edgewood. Get in for lunch or dinner. Enjoy this fall weather sitting out there on that patio. Award-winning wings, delicious burgers, great sandwiches, ice-cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light every Wednesday night. We're at the original location in Crestline for Odie's Team Trivia. Come join us. But get in today, one of those 2 locations. Go see Will Haver and that great staff. It's Odie's Tavern.
And our friends at the Pants Store, you get ready now to go up to Knoxville, Tennessee, and you don't want to wear that Tennessee orange. You want to dress for the Bama folks, or if you're heading out to Missouri, you want to dress in that orange and blue for Auburn. They are your game day headquarters at the Pants Store. Pantstore.com. No matter where you're watching or listening, you can get stuff from the Pants Store. But they got stores, multiple here in Birmingham. They got them at Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, Auburn, and in Leeds. Gentile, Antigua, Cutter Buck, Horn Legend, that's the name brands you get. And the ladies have the rompers and the dresses with free alterations and free gift wrapping for the holidays. And the footwear, too, including the New Balance and the Hokas and all the Western boots. Nothing gets you ready for game day like the Pants Store, pantstore.com. Roll Tide and War Eagle from the folks at the Pants Store. Shane Beamer in a loss, 27-25. Where they had the ball after that onside kick LT was talking about, and a couple of open receivers underneath that could have set up a field goal. They throw an interception, and Damani Jackson ends the game. But Shane Beamer says this afterwards, and this has everybody wondering about Alabama's defense again, because he takes you back to the Friday night in the team meeting.
I told him in the hotel last night in our team meeting before we went to bed that that the way that Alabama plays defense, that our receivers were going to have some opportunities, and we were going to give them opportunities to go make plays. And we did. For us to be the offense that we need to be, we just can't be ground and pound, triple option, and throw dink and dunk RPOs. We've got to be able to throw the ball down the field, and we tried to do that today. We had some shots called early that we weren't able to, throw or connect on, and we had to check it down. But we want to continue to be aggressive and give our guys opportunities to go make plays downfield.
The thing everybody was hanging on was because of the way Alabama plays defense.
Yeah.
Our guy's going to get some numbers is essentially what he was saying, right?
Yeah, look, and not that South Carolina's got any elite receivers at all. And Sellers, I think, is a good quarterback. He's almost like a poor man's Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I think if you look at his numbers coming into this game, that he had his game of the year so far, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was good, but he wasn't great. That's what's, disturbing. And 7 of 15 on third downs, not as bad as they were.
Not 8 of 12.
Yeah, or 12 of 18.
Yeah, 12 of 18, that's what
not
it was.
12 of 18, but still not good at all. I mean, the best player for Alabama was probably James Burnip.
Oh, yeah. At least you've got Burnip.
They're using him a lot more than I thought they'd have to this year.
Yeah. But do you think, I guess, do you think there's a scheme problem? That's something we keep coming back to. And everyone points out, well, that's the same defense Michigan ran last year and won the national championship.
Different. Well, I don't want to say different personnel.
Alabama's got
Alabama's got pretty good personnel.
Yeah, Alabama's got some talent.
I don't know if Kane Womack can win the fans back. I'll say that. And I think Nick Sheridan's losing.
Losing by the minute?
Yeah.
We'll see what they do at Tennessee this week. We'll talk to Tyler Booker coming up in the next segment.
Yeah, just let me say this. South Carolina, watching them last week against Ole Miss, their offense could do nothing. Absolutely nothing. And, after that 4-minute mark, 4.5 to go in the first half, I mean, they made some adjustments and, some self-inflicted wounds from Alabama. But, boy, that was a different South Carolina offense.
It really was. My bookie, what's the line on Bama, Tennessee? At one point last week, we thought Bama would be the favorite.
And they, in fact, are the favorite, Jim. I don't know where the official opening number for this is going to be, Lance. I saw a lot of places.
2.
Yeah, 2.5 is where it sits right now. Alabama, a 2.5-point favorite at Tennessee. Just as much as Alabama is struggling, Tennessee is struggling.
Yeah, that was, looking at the X on Saturday, everybody, man, wait till they get to Neyland and get run off the field. If Graham Mertz doesn't go out,
I know.
Tennessee doesn't win that game. And I was pulling hard because I got to find tickets.
2.5.
I want that ticket to go down.
2.5 is the number. You can also play Monday Night Football tonight. The Bills, a 1-point road favorite at the Jets, their first game post Robert Saleh. All of that right there at mybookie.ag. Sign on at mybookie.ag. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere there. Use code NEXTROUND, and they are going to, whatever you deposit right there, they're going to double that initial deposit. That is free money for you to play with. Win once with it, it is yours. You don't have to win 7, 8, 9, 10 times. That is code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, and double your initial deposit with mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
And our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama, man, guys, nothing's more important than your health, right? And you got to stay on top of certain things like your urology. Your urological tracts can cause so many problems. That's why UCA has 16 locations, one near you, to find one of their great urologists on staff. They treat all your urological needs, from prostate health to kidney stones. They handle vasectomies and everything. Man, as you move from your 20s to 30s, man, start finding that doctor, that urologist, to become your lifelong friend. 40s, 50s, so important for you. Visit urologycentersalabama.com to schedule an appointment, or call that number, 205-930-0920, or urologycentersalabama.com.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at scottforestertv.
Are you tired of buying your CPAP mask and supplies online only to be disappointed? It's time to visit CPAP Plus, your locally owned and operated CPAP shop that prides itself on personal service. Come see what you're buying at CPAP Plus with 3 convenient locations in Pelham, Highway 280, and now open in Trustful. Drop by for a free CPAP checkup and free filters, no appointment needed. Plus, sign up for their giveaway for a chance to win a free travel CPAP machine. Just Google CPAP Plus or visit any of those 3 locations. Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Hey, you feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair to kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older, must be present to win.
Hey, for all of your IT and printing needs, reach out to our friends at Xerox Business Solutions. Look, I'm still one of those old school guys. I print my notes every single day for the show. If you watch the show here on The Next Round, you see all the notes in front of me. From day one, Xerox Business Solutions, they've been with us here at The Next Round. Local for over 45 years. For all of your IT and printing needs, visit XeroxBusinessSolutions.com or call 205-969-3000. That's 205-969-3000.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Back with you on The Next Round. Alabama, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, 2:30 this weekend. Tennessee's offense struggled in a 19-14 loss at Arkansas. Then they came back and had no points in the first half against Florida. I'll say it again, no points in the first half against Florida. Ended up beating the Gators in overtime. So here comes the Tide. Bama didn't drop in the AP poll. Tennessee did. They're down to 11. So it's 7 versus 11 this weekend in Knoxville.
We'll talk some about that with Alabama's Tyler Booker. The offensive lineman joins us this time each week on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. As a reminder, all Alabama coverage at CoverCrimson.com, just $1 at CoverCrimson.com to join. Enjoy some of the great content and the message boards there, CoverCrimson.com. What is up, Tyler? How are you today?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Thanks a lot. It was a hard-fought win. I know as a player that is why you play to win the game. They're never perfect, but that one went in the W column, and it might have gone a little bit longer than everybody imagined, but it still went in the W column.
Yeah, just a little bit longer than what everybody thought it would. But it's just another week in the SEC. No matter who you play, you're going to get their best shot, so you have to make sure that you're playing at your best. And that was a really good South Carolina team, a really good South Carolina defensive line, and I'm just glad we were able to come out with a victory. There's definitely things that we could clean up. At the end of the day, we got the W.
Obviously, different coaching staffs from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer. Is a win like that, kind of survive in advance? Is a win like that handled differently? I mean, is the locker room internally, like the emotions, what the coaches are conveying to you guys, is it night and day from what was last year? I guess what I'm trying to ask you, was it very positive in the locker room after the South Carolina win? Because I can only imagine after winning a game like that under Nick Saban, it seems like it would be a little different.
Contrary to popular belief, it actually was kind of similar to what it was like last year, because something that we came to a realization of last year is that we kind of took winning for granted, as a program, and we didn't enjoy our wins as much. And when we realized that, we decided to celebrate every win as if it was the biggest win we were ever going to have. Celebrate every win like we never won before, and just really enjoy it and to enjoy the hard work that we put in. Also understand, like I said earlier, that we're in the SEC and that we're Alabama, and everybody's going to give us our best shot. And every SEC school has great players, and that's what it was like this past Saturday too. Obviously, initially it wasn't to that level, but after we spoke about what we had to speak about, we all made sure that we sung the fight song, we counted the points as we always do, and really celebrated and enjoyed that victory, because it's hard to win in the SEC.
Tyler, man, that's a great attitude. I want to ask you about the run game. On my little makeshift scratch sheet here, I have 18 runs from Jalen, and I've got 20 with Jam and Justice there, and they seem to be just that close to starting to break some big runs. 20 runs, 68 between Jam and Justice. What do you think adding that element to being able to run between the hash marks with those guys would do for your offense?
It would open up our offense even more than what it already is. You guys know the explosion that we have on the outside, and as an offensive line, we have to continue to improve and perform and execute to our highest level, so we can let those guys being Jam and Justice do what they do best and do what they came here to do. And those guys are two very talented guys and two very selfless guys, because it's hard to be in a position of running back and only one guy gets the ball. One guy can have the ball. It's hard to be any skill position because only one person can have the ball on each play. So those guys are very selfless. They give their all in pass protection. And as an offensive line, we have to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that those guys have success.
Tyler Booker is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline, covercrimson.com for all your Alabama coverage. Join for just $1 and see how you like it at covercrimson.com. Earlier this year, you had to go out on the field against Georgia. You're trailing now, and you know where the clock is. You got to have a drive. Is there a similar feeling when you go out for a 4-minute drive knowing you've got a slim lead, but you've got to pick up first downs? Now, you guys eventually, Jeremy Bernard's wide open for a touchdown. But is it a similar feeling when you go out on the field and I know I've got the lead right now, but my defense is depending on me to pick up first downs in this 4-minute and burn off as much clock as I can?
Our mindset is to score every time we touch the ball. So while we were in a 4-minute situation, we were we see our run plays as explosive plays. Some people see play action as an explosive play, or going to empty as an explosive play. We believe our run game is very explosive. So all of our runs are designed to score every play. So our mindset wasn't to just go out there and milk the clock. Now, we were aware of our time management, but every time we touch the ball, we want to score.
I know you said you don't want to take winning for granted. None of you guys do. You've won 3, or you guys have been in 3 straight one-possession games. Do you enjoy winning games like that more than the blowouts?
I just enjoy winning games, period. Whether we win by 1 or 1, 10, 20, 30, no matter what it is. As long as we go 1-0 that week, that's all I'm concerned about.
Yeah. I'm getting older, Tyler, so occasional blowouts would be okay.
It is funny though, because we heard the Alabama fans back in the day, man, these games are so boring. We're blowing everybody out. Yeah. And now you got tight games and nobody likes the tight games.
Boy, what do you want?
Hey, so we're getting ready, to follow you guys up to Knoxville, Tennessee again. What do you remember about that trip to Neyland a couple of years ago that ended the long win streak for Alabama, where Tennessee rushed the field?
It was a great game. It's definitely some of that game is the reason why you come to Alabama, to come play in the SEC. Like that game was the epitome of SEC football, in my opinion. Just the atmosphere, the way that the two teams fought until the end. Like that's some of the most fun I've ever had playing football, minus the part about us losing. But just that atmosphere is one I've never been in before, and it was super loud. And I've been to a few concerts in my life, and that had all the concerts beat. Neyland had all the concerts beat. So I'm very excited to go perform in front of that crowd this weekend.
What's the loudest concert you've ever been to, Tyler?
I've been to a Travis Scott concert.
Yeah,
those concerts get really loud.
Get really loud. Okay, so Neyland really Stadium louder than a Travis Scott concert. So that's your line of demarcation there.
Yeah. Is he the artist that lets you? They open the gates and you're able to run up to the stage and there's
all festival seating.
Yeah. Is that? I don't know. I think that's the guy.
At some of his shows. I wasn't at one of those though.
Okay. If I'm running behind Booker.
That's right. That was gonna be my point. I'm following Booker to the front of the stage.
This guy knows how to get me to the pay dirt.
What was the closest atmosphere to Tennessee 2 years ago? What you guys had 3 weeks ago against Georgia?
Yes, I would say that. I would definitely say that, just because, like I said, like those are the kind of games you come to the SEC for the atmosphere, to play against another great team. Like I would definitely say that Georgia was comparable to Tennessee my freshman year.
You heard Dunaway say that Tennessee dropped in the poll. Didn't look great against Florida, but they found a way to win. But when you watch Tennessee on film, I mean, their best unit right now, probably that defensive line. What do you see when you watch Tennessee on film?
See a lot of explosion out of their defensive line. They're penetrators. They shoot off the ball really well. They have great hands. They all have really good pass rush moves on the edge and inside. So these are the games that you come to Alabama for, to play against other great defenses and defensive lines if you're an offensive lineman. So we have an opportunity to show who we really are as an offensive line this week.
So right before the half, after the half the distance to the goal line penalty on the kick, after Carolina had cut it to 14-7. Coach DeBoer puts faith in the offense again to go out there, even backed up, to run the offense like you did at Wisconsin. Do you like him still trusting you guys to do that, even in that situation?
I do, and we trust Coach DeBoer because he trusts us, and we know that he's never going to put us in a position where there's any hesitation. Like, he's never going to put us in a bad position. So if we're going out and trying to score, that's because Coach DeBoer, he trusts in us too, and to have that trust in your coach from your coaches, that's huge. And for us to be able to, like I said, have that trust is huge. And like I mentioned earlier, no matter what situation we're in, well, if it's 1 second left in the game or less than 10 seconds left in the game, or we're up, we're probably going to need a ball. But a majority of the time, every time we touch the ball, we're trying to score. And that was just another example.
And 4th and 1 at your own end of the field to start the game. I'm like, okay, here we go. And you guys it's like you'd already pre-planned that. If it was 4th and 1, we're going to go.
It wasn't pre-planned, and that's just a call that's like, they were calling us out as an offensive line, be like, hey, like, we think our offensive line is better than your defensive line, and we're going to show you right here. And whenever that call is called, 4th and 1, as an offensive line, we get excited because this is where we get to prove who we are. This is where we get to prove how physical we are. And there's no better way to do it than 4th and 1 on your home 32.
I'm curious, at the end of the game, I'm guessing you're watching, either just standing on the sidelines or looking at one of the video boards. When Damani Jackson intercepts the ball in the end zone, were you thinking, don't take the knee, take the knee? Because I thought it was pretty heads up by him, not really knowing how that's going to be officiated. 2 points goes to overtime. I mean, what were you thinking as you're watching it in real time?
So first of all, I was actually praying until I heard everybody's cheer, and then I looked up. I was like, okay, we got the ball. So after that, I kind of saw Domani. He started outside of the end zone, then he went back into the end zone. I wasn't sure, and what he told us, he was like, "I'd rather be safe than sorry." So that's why he took it out.
No, it was the heads-up play to do it.
That's up to Malachi. Sure. I think Malachi was there saying, "Run it out, run it out."
I mean, when in doubt, with that much time on the clock, and it also allowed the clock to run out, so you guys didn't have to go out and snap it again.
Maybe ran a little too far.
Well, maybe so. I think at some point Damani might have seen 6 points and just thought he would see if he could play that out.
It may be too soon tomorrow at practice, but when they called the practice hands team, try to bump one of those guys out and run out there and see what they say to you. How close are you to being on the hands team? Are you close?
Nah, not close at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what he is? He's the guy that Oregon would kick the onside kick at. Tyler's a big target. Yeah, bounce it off Tyler and see if it works.
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck against Tennessee, Tyler. As always, we appreciate the time. Have a great week.
Thanks, you as well.
All right, take care. Tyler Booker with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. CoverCrimson.com is where you can go and sign up for $1. Get a lot of great Alabama coverage on the message boards, but also some great original programming over there. The YouTube site, Cover Crimson, as well. Get a lot of that for free. CoverCrimson.com. Sign up for $1 right now. CoverCrimson.com.
Hey, holidays right around the corner, and we procrastinate as guys, but if you want an easy gift for the wife or girlfriend, how about the Woodhouse Day Spa? You can order those gift cards 24/7 online, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Stop in, see the incredible facility located at the Summit Shopping Center. Make sure you tell Stuart and the fine folks at the Woodhouse Day Spa, the guys from the Next Round sent you. You can choose from a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, nail services, and more. Woodhouse Day Spa, voted America's best day spa since 2009. Again, order that special person gift online 24/7, birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
And, of course, if you're a big Bama fan, you want to still celebrate the 6 national championship seasons of Nick Saban down in Tuscaloosa. You can order the legend right now from DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. I've even seen some pencil drawings of a Ryan Williams drawing right now, but you can pre-order the legend by going to DanielMooreArt.com. 2025 calendar available as well with the great Daniel Moore pieces there. Coupon code, I should say, TNR. Get you 20% off. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. Sharkbait is in Dadeville to talk a little college football. Sharkbait, how are you this morning?
Glad I got my power back Friday, so I was able to watch the games.
That's good.
I'm glad you got it back too, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I haven't heard anybody talk about the last touchdown for Alabama and why the coaches didn't tell the players that get the first down but do not score a touchdown. If he accidentally steps out of bounds at the 5, or if he falls down with the ball before scoring a touchdown, Alabama takes 2 or 3 knees, runs out the clock, and wins the game 20-19.
Yep.
The second worst thing Alabama could have done was score a touchdown.
Yep.
Worst thing is turn.
Short-bait, you're all over that. If you had been in our chat, you'd have got laughed at. But you're all.
I agree with you. Yeah,
I laughed at you for saying South Carolina let them score. That was the absurd thing.
No, they were all in on stopping them short of the first down marker. Anything that's a first down, you let them score. At that point.
I think that was the best thing South Carolina could. It was the only way they were in the game.
Right. If he had accidentally stepped out of bounds, because they showed that angle and said, "Oh no, he's not out of." If he had stepped out of bounds, that game is over.
Yes,
we don't have 2-point conversions. We don't have onside kicks. The game would have finished 20 minutes earlier.
That's true. No, I mean, in a perfect world, you don't even want him to go out of bounds, but he was so close to the boundary, that was going to be hard.
Yeah.
But, if he steps out of bounds, Yep, that's right. His knees.
Game awareness, you got to know to fall down at that point.
Yeah, but these guys see end zone. I don't know if you were up watching. I was. I had a disaster of a week. But Chase Brown, all he had to do was go down for the Bengals. And instead, he wants to score the touchdown. Bengals cover. They win anyway, but all he had to do was go down. They run the clock out. But a lot of these guys, natural instinct, they want to get in the end zone.
Sharkbait man, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought that NFL game, was it last year or the year before, where the defenders grabbed the running back and pulled him into the end zone.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's situational awareness, right?
Yeah, I just never heard anybody talk about that play. And if he just if he just accidentally falls down or if he accidentally steps out of bounds, game over.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you very much, Shark Bay. No, that was the smart play. I mean, but again, it's hard to process that in real time. I don't know how often they rep that in practice. I don't know. I don't know how much that's hammered in.
There's got to be, and in the chat too, our friend from Greg from Pell City was talking about, code red. There has got to be a word for that once you get in that game time situation.
Guys, we're in code red territory.
But that was coming out of the timeout, right? It was
yes.
Yeah, I mean, at that point.
South Carolina timeout, yeah.
Yeah, at that point, or the 2 minute, I can't remember which one it was, but it was coming out of a timeout. At that point, as coaches, if we get the first down.
Go down.
Yeah.
Go down.
Yeah, because Beamer had burned the timeout on offense, which I thought might come back to haunt him, and I guess it kind of did. And then he had to use 2, and then you had the 2 minute warning. So, yeah, I mean, he's completely out of timeouts. Yeah. You get the first down and go down.
I think a lot of things we're not talking about because Alabama wins the game, but that 2-point conversion was drawn up perfectly.
Wide open.
Threw it to the wrong guy.
And I think, if that's, 7 out of 10 quarterbacks probably make that play, and Sellers just is not a polished passer right now, and and if that game goes to overtime, I don't know what happens.
If you go back and watch the final play, the interception, they have a guy that nobody's around at around the 20-yard line.
Oh, the Damati Jackson interception?
Yeah, and how much time was left? How many seconds were on the clock?
Oh, they had plenty of time to go up and clock it and kick a field goal.
Yeah, because I think he ran, it was 4 when he intercepted it. Yeah, I think he ran off. You think it was more than that?
And that should be the look. Sellers should be looking for that,
Yeah, to set up the field goal.
All we need is a field goal in this situation.
Now, Alabama had decided at that point they were just going to heat the quarterback and take whatever happened. So Sellers didn't exactly have a lot of time to process things.
But how big of a disaster is this if Alabama loses?
We
joked about it at Academy. We were doing a live show there Saturday morning, our pregame, and I said, look, there's no win for Alabama coming out of this game. But if they were to lose this game or even win it like they won it, it feels like a loss just talking to Alabama fans over the weekend.
Yeah, this is the point where I should remind everybody people on social media wants me to remind everyone that Alabama was 6-7 in their first year under Nick Saban.
Different.
And that's what I always write back is Nick Saban did not inherit this roster.
No, and Nick Saban left behind maybe the best situation where, from game day ops to, just the respect. And that's another thing you got to look at. Is Alabama a feared team anymore?
It doesn't appear. You heard what Beamer said post-game about their players were excited to play against Alabama because of their opportunity to put up numbers.
We're not excited by a close loss here. We expected to win this game.
Before we go to JD in Huntsville, Hillside Music and Q, one of our favorite places now on Highway 31 in Vestavia. Great place to go watch Monday Night Football tonight.
Monday Night Football tonight. The Jets season basically on the line, hosting the Bills. You can watch that game. Both Alabama and Auburn are out of town. Auburn going to Columbia. Alabama heading up to Knoxville this weekend. If you're looking for a place to watch all of the action, make it Hillside. Get in and see our friends, Charles, John, fine folks there. Happy hour, 3 to 6 every Monday through Friday. Live music starts at 6 o'clock on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And College Football Saturday. They got the $4 Hillside Lights, $15 pitchers, NFL Sunday ticket all day on Sunday. Great neighborhood bar right there off of Highway 31 in Vestavia for lunch or dinner. Fantastic patio as well. It's Hillside.
Several years ago, my wife and I decided we wanted to redo our master bathroom, and it was fine. It was just a little bit dated. We didn't like the bright colors. We wanted darker colors. So at that point, my wife started scouring the internet, looking for the right person for the job. She talked with certain contractors, people that had used certain contractors. She selected Brad Bell, A-plus Tile Home Remodeling. I am thankful she did. He came in, we gave him our vision, and he did it exactly like we wanted it. Here's his number, 205-422-1758. That is 205-422-1758. He specializes in master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closets. Now, he'll do anything, but the reason I point those out, it's A, his specialty, but it's B, it's the rooms you're going to spend a lot of time in, and it really pops when you go to sell your home and you get that money back. Brad Bell, A-plus Tile Home Remodeling. It is who we recommend. So many of you have used him. We appreciate that, but we always get great feedback when you do, and that's what we really want to hear. 205-422-1758. Brad Bell, A-plus Tile Home Remodeling.
And JD is in Huntsville. He's on the phone lines, 205-734-0923. How you doing, JD?
Hey, guys. Good morning. I thought that by today it would have subsided a little bit, and I wouldn't be quite as critical of Alabama, but no, I'm still just as critical. I'd be excited, too, to go against the Alabama defense on 3rd and long if I knew they're only going to rush 3 people. That right there, it's just recipe for giving up a first down. They were rushing 3 and had a spy, so the quarterback couldn't get loose, but I just don't get that. That's not being aggressive. They changed that, when they got the onside kick, we decided, hey, you know what, better put some pressure, on these guys. But, the last, minute 37 of the half is just about the worst Alabama football that I've seen in such a long time. And then we didn't learn from it, A lot of times, with Saban, he would talk about how, look, we went for it on 4th and 2, didn't get it, so next time on 4th and 2, he said, I'm not going to do it. You've already proved me that we couldn't get it last time. I'm not going to do it this time. Kick a field goal. Should have just run the ball at the end of the half. As far as taking the knee, only thing I'll say about that is the player has to be instructed to do that, and he was definitely not instructed. I think he said that. They didn't tell him to do that, because if they told him to do that, he would have just fell down. And when Coach DeBoer was asked about it at the press conference, he didn't take ownership and say, no, we didn't tell him to do that. He just said they're all instructed on all the awareness of the game and the circumstance and all this and that. Why is it so many coaches nowadays just will flat out not say it's on me? Just stop all the criticism of players and their assistants and just say, guys, it's on me. I should have had them better ready, and I didn't. But I'm telling you, next week, we're going to get them ready.
Well,
nobody does that anymore.
Well, I mean, and I'm getting to a point here. Do you see that in the NFL? I don't. And one reason is they're getting paid to do it in the NFL. And I know it feels a little more taboo in college football, but the more these guys get paid, that kind of comes along with being paid to play, right? Is that I am now paying you to play football, and you're going to have to bear some of the criticism.
But there's no criticism on the player there, because if he's not coached to fall down.
No, I agree with you on that, but I'm just answering. I'm not answering that specifically. Okay. I'm just answering the general JD question. Now, I will also say Jeremy Bernard's played a lot of football. How long? I mean, he played 2 years at Washington right before coming here.
He's played enough.
Yeah, he's played enough that it maybe should have clicked in his head. I know. I mean, I'm just an idiot watching on the couch, and I'm thinking, boy, he needs to go down here.
Did you guys watch the end of the Falcons-Carolina game?
No.
I watched till they got up 2 touchdowns.
Exact same scenario. Guy catches a pass, he's got a chance to score, and he goes down because they're just going to go to victory formation. The exact same thing. And I'm thinking he was told to do that. A couple weeks ago, Tennessee lets Arkansas score. And I heard so many people on the message board saying, that's not real football. You can't take a knee. I'm like, it's the same thing as going into victory formation. You just did it in the middle of a play.
Yep.
And I don't know why people just don't understand that.
It was a smart thing to do. Thank you, JD. Now, I will say, I talked to a former SEC official about the Damani Jackson play at the end, and
they wouldn't have called a safety.
No. He said the reason you saw him throw the beanbag out is absolute worst case. They bring it back out to there. And that's where Alabama has it. Now, there again, it's
a little tricky.
You got to take you probably can't even take a knee there. You're probably going to have to just go Milroe quarterback sneak to run the clock for one play. So it is a bit tricky, but I don't think Alabama was in danger of getting the safety. I will say, though, for Malachi Moore, if you've got any doubt right there, run it out. For him to do that was a pretty heads-up play for Malachi Moore.
You mean Damani Jackson?
No, I mean Malachi Moore telling him to do it. Damani Jackson ran it out. Yeah. But as much criticism as Malachi Moore took last week, that was a heads-up play at the end of the game to be standing there directing traffic.
Do you guys get a feeling that not only because Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, struggled with South Carolina, that people feel like Kalen DeBoer is over his head? And I think one of the reasons that people might think this is because when you watch Kalen DeBoer in a loss, in a win, in a close win, it's the same demeanor. And it seems that he is so nice and so even keel that he's just overwhelmed. I don't really know how to explain it. Do you get the feel, though?
That is such a huge question. Let's get into that when we come back. Gather your thoughts on that, because I think that's what everyone's talking about, right? Is that what
he's getting criticized this week for smiling. Last week it was because he wore a T-shirt, which is the most insane criticism I've ever heard. And this week he's getting criticism because there was video of him walking off the field with a big smile after a win.
And I don't get that. Like,
he won the game.
It's his personality,
Yeah, right.
but still, I think you've got to choose some ass.
Let's break it down a little bit when we come back, because that's what Alabama fans are, fair or not fair, talking about. New York Butcher Shop bringing us part of the show here. Tell us about New York Butcher.
Yeah, New York Butcher Shop. We got some Thanksgiving news. We'll start sharing that with you tomorrow, because he's got plenty of birds. And if you want to order early, you can do that from our friends at the New York Butcher Shop. Just fantastic food all of the time. Fresh meat, specialty items, deli sandwiches, great selection of fine wines and desserts. New York Butcher Shop, one-stop dinner shop, 2 locations, Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
And we had a blast on Saturday at the new Academy Sports on Highway 280. That's where we did our kickoff show Saturday morning. Man, they had a lot of people there early with a lot of giveaways. That grand opening's continuing this week.
First 100 people through the door Saturday, we're getting just a gift card from Academy Sports just as a thank you. People were lined up when we got there. My wife and daughter went back Saturday, got her some fall gear to wear to school, sweatshirts and things like that. Great deals right now at Academy Sports and Outdoors. It's the Highway 280 location. It is brand new right there in the Target Shopping Center where the old Best Buy used to be, behind Chick-fil-A, right off Highway 280. That's where you find it. Grand opening, great deals right now at Academy Sports. So go by and sport another great Academy Sports and Outdoors location, Highway 280 in Birmingham.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Hey, you. Feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair. To kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1, find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2, stream it now. Miss Hour 3, download it for later. Miss Hour 4, well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Okay, we'll get back to LT's brilliant question before the top of the hour coming up. Joel Klatt with us at 10:30 Central Time. We've got our stock reports and a lot more happening this hour. LancesLock.com is brought to you every day by our friends at Hemphill. Hemphill's services as the weather cools down. You'll want to go to Hemphill to get that heat checked out.
Yeah, well, I've got to say this real quick. I wonder if I should separate this from Hemphill. Should I tell them about Hemphill first?
Yeah, tell them about Hemphill, and I'll say something smart, and then you can say what you want to say.
Since 1954, trust the name. Birmingham is trusted for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs. 205-229-2090. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you. Hard to stop a train. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
Well, that was a tough birthday party for Jerry Jones yesterday, wasn't it?
82.
82, and he watched... Was it the worst home loss in Cowboys history? Point-wise? Am I right? Or was it the worst loss?
The third worst loss in Cowboys home history.
Yeah, okay.
But, sadly, Aiden Hutchinson breaking the
bad.
tibia.
Yeah.
Surgery, and it's successful. No timetable in his return. He will stay in Dallas for the rest of the week.
Probably 6 to 8 weeks. So you getting back possibly for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's better to have a broken tibula than have ligament damage to your knees.
Yeah, ligament would have been done.
Horrible, though.
Boy, it did.
And that Detroit team, when they're firing on all cylinders, they are really good. Did not have Dallas yesterday, surprising. I will say this, 11 years of LancesLock.com, and we had a great October until last week. I think, and I've got to go back and figure out the percentages, this is the worst week in the history of LancesLock.com. Here's what I will say. No excuses. Hopefully I didn't cause any divorces. I'm not going to make anybody late on their mortgage payments. Hopefully nobody's walking into traffic. It ruined my Saturday. It ruined my day yesterday. I absolutely hate losing. But when you do it, whether you do it for a year, you do it for 100 years, you're going to have a worst week. You're going to have a best week. It just happened to be this was the worst week. I could not buy a break over the weekend. Again, no excuses, sucked. We bounced back, though. So for everybody out there that is a subscriber, I apologize, but you guys know how this works. As bad as it was this week, it could be just as good this coming week.
In fact, that's been the way I've seen it work in the past, Dunaway, is this is where he hits a hot streak. So that's what I'm pulling for, is you hit a hot streak.
Well, I was on a hot streak until I just absolutely – this was ice.
Yes.
LancesLock.com to get the plays for tonight's game. Got 2 baseball games today. Dodgers look good as they've gone 33 straight innings now without allowing a run. So Game 2 National League Championship Series ALCS starts tonight and Monday Night Football. All of that there. And then college football cranks back up with midweek games tomorrow. Joe Klatt coming up at the bottom. So let's jump back into LT's question and our 4 downs here in this segment. LT, reset your question you asked at the top of the hour.
And I don't know how well I actually framed the question, but, talking to DeBoer over the offseason, getting to know him a little bit, he is a very even kill guy. Doesn't show a lot of emotion, super nice. I go back last year, and let me go on and say this, and this might be something you got to get used to, and I don't know if Alabama fans are going to like it. We are in a world now that more resembles the NFL. You watch games in the NFL outside of Dallas Cowboy games now and Carolina Panther games, it's all one-possession games. And Kalen DeBoer, if you look at his 25 games in 2 years at Washington, 12 of those 25 one-possession games. Last year, en route to winning 14 games, 8 of those wins, one-possession games. So this is kind of the style of Kalen DeBoer. Doesn't make a lot of sense when you're up 28-0 on Georgia that you would struggle, lose to Vanderbilt, and you would really struggle in a win against South Carolina. But after the fact, in a close win or a loss, The demeanor is the same. And I think sometimes when Kalen DeBoer is talking, it almost seems like he's a really, really young coach that hasn't developed and doesn't handle the communication well, because it almost seems like he's overwhelmed. I don't think he is overwhelmed. I think his coordinators might be. I don't think he is overwhelmed, but it seems like he is.
So, I mean, the in-game coach interviews do nothing for me, absolutely nothing. There's nothing a coach can say in an in-game coach interview that is meaningful to me. It's all window dressing. But I did say to you guys, and I think it was off the show, and when Alabama, even when they were winning, I was like, he does not inspire a ton of confidence in these in-game interviews. It's just not who he is, right? And that's not meant as a criticism of DeBoer, because not everybody's a good interview. And he's just kind of he's a chill, laid-back guy a lot of time when you're around him. We've spent time around him, and I've noticed that. Those in-game interviews don't inspire a lot of confidence. So I think people look at that like, this dude's overwhelmed, man. Listen to his in-game interviews. Well, that doesn't mean anything.
My fear, Dunaway, is Alabama fans are not going to get used to this, especially year one. And I think this team, are they good enough to go 11-1? Maybe. You and I had a text yesterday where you were like, they could lose all of these games outside of Mercer.
Yeah, they could lose five more. They could be 6-6.
But let's say they go 10-2 and get to the college football playoff and they lose an early game there. I just wonder how comfortable Kalen DeBoer is going to be behind the scenes with his family. This is criticism he's never gotten before.
And I would imagine it's already bothering him a little bit.
Yeah, I think it probably is. So my point, I went through and I've got the NFL probably having 7 new head coaches next year in the league.
Yeah, and you think he might look at one?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're dealing with professional players as is. It seems like maybe you have a little more power now in the NFL than you do at the college ranks.
I'm going to jump in real quick, and then you can make that point. On this show, for instance, I get mad about every little detail for 15 years. It bothers me. I get mad. I show my emotion. I get mad about it.
You do?
You never get mad about anything that happens in the show, not one bit. It doesn't mean I love the show more than Brown does, but we attack it 2 different ways. I am angry all the time. I want it to be perfect. Tight on the punches, tight on the graphics, me not to stumble, everybody be on point, boom, boom. That's what I'm striving for all the time, right? Whatever happens, it happens. It happens.
Right.
I like how he gestured back here to me and Scott. You got to be tight on the punches. Scott, you got to be better on the graphics. Get it together.
He doesn't, no emotion at all about the show. Always happy, whether real or not real, he's always happy, right?
I like
so he's more Kalen DeBoer, I'm more Nick Saban. Doesn't mean he cares any less or any more about the show than I do. So it's just 2 different ways of approaching it. And that's what I see in Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban.
Well, I just think
he loves it just as much as Nick Saban, or he wouldn't be doing it. He wants to win just as much as Nick Saban, or he wouldn't be doing it. He just does it differently than Nick Saban.
Yeah, and that's not going to change.
No, it's not. I mean, people work, again,
I'll tell you what's going to change is his coordinators. I really...
Dude, that was plural right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Sheridan was getting a lot of love right up until halftime of the Georgia game.
I mean,
he looked like one of the smartest guys in the game.
I've been outspoken about not loving the way Alabama's attacking everything defensively. What's wrong with the offense? What do you not like about that?
I just think
I'm okay with that.
Well, I think you've got so many weapons, and look, maybe the offense should completely run through Milroe, but it's like
it does.
Yeah, I know, but you've brought up the Justice Haynes and the Jam Miller. I don't think they get enough touches. Number 2 is special. I mean, Bernard is a really good, would be a 1 for most teams. But Bernard could be a dominant too.
Dude, I was being nice.
Dupree, I think, is an underutilized tight end.
I was being nice to Tyler because I love Tyler Booker. But I read the stat as it sits. They had 20 traditional runs for 68 yards. What is that?
That's terrible.
That is not good.
No.
That's jam and justice at 20 touches, 68 yards. So if they continue to run that way,
3.3 a clip.
You're asking Jalen Milroe to be your best quarterback and your best running back.
That's right.
You know, look, I mean, there are a lot of guys that have had to do that through the history of college football, but boy, it's a ticking time bomb.
But this isn't new. Alabama struggled for a long time to be able to dominate the run game the way they used to in the murder ball days. They don't do this anymore. They didn't do it last year with Nick Saban. They couldn't dominate the run game traditionally last year either. It's been a problem since Probably Najee was there.
There's regression, though, with this offense. The offensive line that once they got whole with Proctor, it was supposed to be one of the 2, 3, 4 best offensive lines in football. And they've gotten whipped multiple times.
I think they're really good most of the time at pass protection. Most of the time.
It's hard to say that after Saturday, but that is a defensive line that will give a lot of people fits in the pass game.
I thought they held up really well against Georgia, especially in the first half. Gave Jalen plenty of time to throw in that game.
As Jesse Palmer said, Will Campbell is probably going to be the top offensive lineman off the board in the draft, and he couldn't manage those guys.
Yeah.
For LSU. So, I mean, that South Carolina pass rush is absolutely as good as it gets.
I know the game's shortened now, and I know there's the day of running 85 plays is over, but 61 plays they ran Saturday.
Well, when you let South Carolina come out of the locker room and run half the clock off the third quarter with Jalen Milroe over there sipping on whatever the Powerade or whatever they're drinking over there. I mean, there's not.
But this is pretty consistent
over there, just
45
relaxing.
plays against Vanderbilt, which is unheard of, and we know the time of possession there. But 65 against Georgia, 56 against Wisconsin, 68 against South Florida, and 65 against Western Kentucky.
When you're bending and not breaking, I didn't do the stat. It was going to be something I was going to do tonight. But how in meaningful games, take out Western Kentucky, but everyone else, how many 3-and-outs has Alabama's defense had? How many 3-and-outs?
Have they forced? I mean,
it doesn't seem like a lot, does it?
Doesn't seem like a lot, no.
Yeah. So that means everyone that's not a 3-and-out, and it does seem like back in the Nick Kirby, Jeremy Pruitt days that there were.
I noticed you stopped before you got to Pete Golding.
Yeah, I did, but there seemed to be a lot more 3-and-outs back in the day. Football's changed a little bit.
Well,
I know
it has.
That. Yeah.
It's a much more offensive game than even when Jeremy Pruitt was the defensive coordinator, who's really, really good. That's no knock on him, but it is a different offensive game now.
Oh, yeah.
Than when Pruitt was there. I was going to pull up their third down, their opponent third down. It's
not good.
It's got to be awful.
Not good.
I'm going to start at the bottom nationally and just see how long it takes me to find Alabama.
It is a 50-50 proposition on third down, and those odds may go up on fourth down.
Oh yeah, gosh. I mean, when it gets, I would consider going for a lot of fourth downs against this Alabama defense.
Hey, as you look that up, Brown. So back to the original question: do you think Alabama fans can get used to this demeanor?
Well, they've got to. They've got to, because, by the way, that contract's huge. So Kalen DeBoer is not going anywhere. Coordinators can come and go and change, but he specifically hired these two guys because he likes these two guys and they believe in the way of coaching that he believes in. So you better get used to it.
Well, the Sheridan was, I don't want to say it was a forced hire, but he's been with him, and Ryan Grubb decides to go back to the Seahawks or go back to Seattle.
That's Kalen's system. You know good and well, if Kalen wanted to call a play, he would call a play. He has 100% input into what's happening on the offense. He's an offensive coach. So
but things
he made a choice for Kane Womack. He had a different option. He made a choice for Kane Womack.
Yeah, but I still think with Ryan Grubb, it is Kalen DeBoer. It's an extension of Kalen DeBoer, though. And Kalen DeBoer really doesn't even have to think about it. You know, now he's probably second-guessing a lot that Nick Sheridan's doing. I do agree with Kane Womack. I didn't think Kane Womack would struggle as much. I mean, I did think the defense would give up some big plays and stuff, but against the South Carolina team, you got down 14-0 with change left in the first half. And I thought that might be the positive coming out of the game for Alabama, was they were going to completely shut down that South Carolina offense.
Before we get to our four downs and Joel Klatt, our Milo stat of the day, do you have any? Did you find?
Well, I burned through the one. The one I was giving you was
I thought you were searching for a third down.
Oh, I was going to look at third down. It's actually not as bad as you would think. Opponent third down conversions, Alabama's actually 23rd in the country. They're giving up 31% conversion rate out of 96 attempts on third down. Yeah. Alabama has allowed 30 conversions.
I think all 30 of those have been halftime Georgia on.
Yeah, probably relatively recent on most of those 30, I would agree.
Because they were leading the nation at halftime of Georgia in third down attempts. They were number one in the country, I believe, at stopping that. And since then, it has become a problem. Interesting. And listen, the Swarm defense, I know Swarm defense T-shirts are not selling out of our store right now.
Yeah, glad we didn't do those.
Yeah, me too. But I think other teams who have had success have played that defense. It's not the palette that Alabama fans are used to.
Well, to your point real quick on third down, Vandy was 12 of 18. South Carolina was 7 of 14. So they've allowed 30. 19 have been in the last two games.
Yeah. And
19 out of 30.
Yeah, and I don't think Georgia was any good. Georgia
they
did
were
all
good on
theirs
fourth
on fourth
down.
down.
Yeah, Georgia was only 3 of 15 on third down.
Two offenses you shouldn't struggle with.
Yeah, that becomes the problem. The helmet that you were doing it against. Tell us about Milo's.
Hey, look, Milo's has got some great stuff going on with their catering right now. Catering options range from individualized box lunches, ideal for any work or team gatherings, to customized build your own burger bar, chicken sandwich bar. These will be a hit at any tailgate out there. Special offer to the Next Round viewer and listener. $10 off first-time catering order this fall. Enter the code catering10. That's all caps, catering10. When you order Milo's Catering through the Milo's mobile app. To learn more about Milo's catering options, please visit miloshamburgers.com/catering. That is miloshamburgers.com/catering. Stay saucy.
Luganbill says when he watches the high 22 that specifically on defense, that he thinks there's a problem with an urgency of dominance.
What does he mean by that? That sounds like effort. That sounds like he is in a very nice way saying they're not giving effort.
I think what he means is occasionally there's a player that doesn't want to stick his hat in and make a tackle, make a hit.
So that's effort.
Maybe not running hard after
decisions.
the play. Yeah. So urgency of dominance.
But that's going to be translated as soft. You know, I've heard a lot of people call this staff, this team, soft.
And sometimes you come across that way if you're smiling. I am of the philosophy you celebrate every win and then you go and chew ass in the practices.
And that's a fine way to do it. Maybe they're doing that behind the scenes. Look, I know Kalen DeBoer. I feel really confident he will win at a high level. I just don't know if Alabama fans are going to like the way he's winning.
I mean, they've already criticized wearing a T-shirt in a loss, and now they're criticizing wearing a smile in a win.
And I'm glad he didn't bow down to that. I'm glad he kept wearing the thing this week.
He went back to the shouldy.
Slice brings us 4 downs here on the show. Joel Klatt with one of our favorite long interviews of the week in our next segment. Can't wait to hear what Klatt thinks about the chaos that is on the verge of the SEC and how dominant the Big Ten looks right now. But Slice has 4 downs and a great lunch for you.
Yes, 5 locations of Slice for you. The original Lakeview, Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline Park, newest location in Edgewood. I ran into Jason Bajalia on Friday night. Bajalia Brothers, great dudes. Get in, see them for lunch or dinner. Local pizza, local ingredients, from the Hot Mama to the Bajalia Special. You're going to absolutely love it. 5 locations. It is Slice.
First down.
Now we'll go on and start with this. Both one or none of the Alabama coordinators back next season.
Oh, man, I cannot believe we're third Saturday in October already having this discussion.
And the number 7 team in the nation.
I mean, when they're 3-3, Brown, you would expect this to be the question.
No, after a bad loss to South Carolina?
There might not be anybody left if they were 3-3.
Yeah. I'm going to say both are back next year. I mean, going into the year, I really thought that Kane Womack took the job to come to Tuscaloosa, leaves a head coaching job, come to Tuscaloosa. They would have a really good year on defense, and he would be one and out the door to a better head coaching job than he had at South Alabama. But I think they're both back next year, Brown.
Yeah, I will say one of the two. And, I mean, I think right now your betting favorite will be Kane to not be back the way this defense is played. But I don't think you clean out both of them. I think one of the two.
Yeah, I don't know how DeBoer handles staffs. He's had so much success. His hand hasn't been forced. And you're right. I mean, Kane left a good situation to come in and maybe lead to a better situation. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going to say one. I'm just going to play the odds here.
Yeah.
I mean, DeBoer seems like a really loyal guy, and I think it would be hard for him to let these guys go.
Yeah, and I agree with that, LT, that he's loyal. And again, I know he chose Kane Womack over at least one other candidate that was recommended. So,
second down.
Who's your first team SEC quarterback right now?
Can I say Diego Pavia and not get left out?
Yeah,
I think I'd go Diego Pavia.
I mean, nobody means more to their team than Diego Pavia.
He's got to be. He's your SEC MVP. If we just did MVP, it's Diego Pavia.
I think that Jalen Milroe will end up being the guy.
Yeah.
But Pavia would have to be that guy after the last couple of outings.
Now, at one point we thought it was Nico.
Yeah, and he has regressed badly.
For a minute.
Yeah.
Dart has put up numbers, but again, to your point, he's taken 2 losses as well as a starter.
But you watch that game, Brown. He didn't play
Nussmeier
great.
was not good
Nussmeier was
until his
horrible.
final 2 throws.
His final 2 drives were fantastic.
Beck had his best game of the year, but when his team needed him the most, first half against Alabama, he was terrible.
Didn't he have 2 interceptions though in that game too?
He's got 5 on the year.
Yeah, 2 more interceptions.
If Ewers would have been healthy the entire season, maybe Ewers, but I think right now it's got to be Diego.
Yeah, I think I'd go Diego Pavia. Nobody means more to their team than that guy.
And I'll go back to it, man. If they would have won those 2 games that they could have won.
Well, if they'd have just beaten Georgia State, I mean, take the Missouri loss. That's a tough road game in the SEC.
In overtime.
Just beat Georgia State, and this team's a top 15 team right now.
Yeah, they're number 26 according to votes right now in the poll. And when they beat Ball State, they're going to be ranked. It's crazy that Army, Navy, and Vanderbilt are going to be ranked after next week. But if they would have beaten Georgia State, I mean, they'd be in the top 15 right now.
Third down.
Whoever wins the Big 12, where would you currently stack them in the SEC? I think it's going to be BYU or Iowa State after watching those teams on Saturday.
You're not buying Texas Tech.
Do BYU and Iowa State play, by the way?
I don't think they do. I looked at this earlier on the Middle 8 with Brandon. I think they would only meet in the conference championship game.
Yeah, I was not
Iowa
impressed.
State, Texas Tech play in a couple weeks.
With Kansas State, they got backdoored by Colorado in what ended up being a really tight game. And if Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter don't get hurt, they probably win that game.
Yeah. Colorado probably wins the game. Kansas State got backdoored, but they still won the football game.
I think it's BYU or Iowa State.
I think BYU's the best team. I don't buy into Iowa State schedule wise. BYU's done it. I've got who they played here, by the way.
Hey, and they're winning during the day now.
SMU. They held them to 15. They held Kansas State to 9. They held Arizona to 19, and one of those came with a late mop-up touchdown when it was already a blowout. That defense for BYU is why they're better.
And by the way, Arizona, if you want to learn how to defend them, Fafita with the rat tail is basically the size of Kyler Murray or Bryce Young, but doesn't have the legs. So when they pressure him, up the middle, he can't do anything about it. And 4 turnovers, Arizona was pathetic. Another team that I backed this past weekend.
Yeah, I would say BYU is a mid-tier SEC team, but a mid-tier SEC team can beat the best team in the conference on any given Saturday.
I mean, if Alabama was rolling to Provo this weekend, would you guys be confident?
I would not.
I'm not confident on any game other than Mercer the rest of the way.
How about BYU leading the Big 12 with a Jewish quarterback? It's crazy. I don't know if you saw that story.
That is insanity.
Yeah, because he played on Yom Kippur, and a lot of people were giving him a lot of grief for it, and he explained his reasoning for doing it. But he's at a Church of the Latter-day Saints. He's a Jewish quarterback. I mean, it's kind of weird in the old religion circles.
Some Christians play football on Sundays.
They do. But, well, there's a difference in that, but I won't get too deep into the religious discussion.
Fourth down.
Tough one here for you guys. Moving forward, more wins. Vanderbilt or Auburn? And I know they play, and that's going to be a big part of this.
I mean, I think Vanderbilt still is going to be a 6-6 team. The win over Kentucky gave them a path to 7-5.
I think they're 7-5.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
they're definitely getting a win this week.
It depends on how can Pavia stay healthy?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Auburn can get to 7-5, so I would say moving forward, Vanderbilt's got more wins.
Pavia was banged up a little bit in that Kentucky game. It's starting to wear on him a little bit. I loved his post-game interview on the SEC Network there.
This really is becoming the NFL because, I look at these schedules and I'm like, Vanderbilt could win, not Texas, but could win all the rest of their games, but they could easily lose to everybody.
I think Vandy ends up with more, and 6-6 is realistic. And Auburn could be 5-7. They could be 6-6 as well.
Yeah.
Well, it does come down, I think, to that Vanderbilt and Jordan Hare.
Yeah, in your question, yeah.
That is 4 Downs, brought to you by our friends at Slice.
Yeah, 5 great locations. Get into the Bajaya brothers, founded by the late Jeff Bajaya. His brothers continue to celebrate his legacy. Jason and Chris, get into one of those 5 locations for lunch or dinner. It is Slice.
And our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag.
Code next round when you sign on at mybookie.ag. Get that double your deposit bonus. That's what happens when you use code next round. You make your initial deposit, they double it with code next round. If you want to play Monday Night Football tonight, you got the Jets, a 1-point dog at home as Buffalo comes to town. College football cranks back up tomorrow night with 3 games on a Tuesday. They're all about the same, honestly. Troy is at South Alabama. South's a 12-point favorite in that one. Play all those games. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round for double your deposit bonus.
All right, when we come back, Joel Klatt will join us. I think they have a commercial that runs. Big noon kickoff. It's like so much confusion in college football, but you already always know the big noon kickoff is at noon.
Right.
Except this past week. Well, I guess they had the big noon kickoff still at noon, but Joel Klatt and them was not on the game.
They're like, we're not watching Washington and Iowa.
I assume this week they're at the Nebraska-Indiana game.
I mean, it's actually a pretty big Big Ten
I
game.
think they are.
We'll talk to Klatt coming up next right here on TNR.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Hey, this is Matt Roth, the franchisee of Walk On Sports Bistro in Birmingham. With the kickoff of football season, come visit us at one of our 3 locations, Stadium Trace, Greystone, or Trussville. Come enjoy our scratch kitchen menu while watching one of our 80 TVs. Whether you're looking for a pre- or post-game celebration, game day, or date night, we've got you covered. It's all about the win at Walk On Sports Bistro. Walk On, where everybody needs a little playing time.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
All right, Joel Klatt and the folks at Fox. It's hype time. Bloomington, Indiana, 11 a.m. on Fox. LT's been talking about this team since week 2.
Coach Sig
since week 2. Now it's Nebraska and Indiana on the big noon kickoff.
Klatt will be there. Joel Klatt, Fox Sports, unless he corrects me on the fly like he did last week when I gave the wrong game because I didn't know they'd change games. Klatt is brought to you by MyBookie.ag, code next round. Welcome in, my friend. How are you today?
Great. Great. No, we're headed to Bloomington, boys. We'll see if this thing is for real or what we've got. I'm excited for it.
Well, Dunaway seems to think they're a fraud. I think they're really good. I mean, they're one of two teams that have yet to trail along with Army this year. And look, I know the competition hasn't been great, but I mean, they've gone out and they've taken care of business, Joel. I mean, I think they're like not good enough to win a Big Ten, but I mean, when you start to look at the schedule, they could win 10 games.
Well, yeah, the schedule. Well, think of it this way: they're going to be favored in every game up until Ohio State, which is November 23rd. You know, so even though the brands on the schedule wouldn't suggest that they would be favored, they're playing well enough to be favored. This week against Nebraska, they've got Washington at home. They've got to go to Michigan State. Then they've got Michigan at home. They're going to be favored in every one of those games, which is quite stunning. Let's be honest, right? Two of those teams played for a national championship last year. One of them won the national championship. And we'll see. I think what's interesting to me when I watch them is their offensive line is vastly improved. Now, here's the question that we have to then ask ourselves is like, by what standard are we calling them like good, right? So if Lance, if you're saying, hey, they could win 10 games and that's really good, yeah, that's absolutely the case. Dunaway, if you're saying, well, are they a playoff team or going to win the Big Ten? Yeah, I don't know about that. So as is always the case in college football, it's kind of like, well, what bar are we trying to define them as a quality team? I don't know if this is going to be a playoff team. They're certainly going to be playing games that have playoff implications, though.
That's right.
Because, you know, an 11-1 Indiana might even wind up in the Big Ten championship game. So, you know, the fact that after this offseason, when Cignetti is sitting there and he's like, Purdue sucks. And you know what? Ohio State and Michigan suck too. You know, it's like this is an incredible year to have this guy be doing this. It's pretty great.
Hey, if Vanderbilt and Indiana played neutral site, who would you take? It's crazy, but I think almost Indiana's kind of
that's a good question. That's a really good question. I believe that Vegas and I would take Indiana slightly. I think that would probably be like a 3 or 4.5 point line towards the Hoosiers. But I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, which quarterback would you rather have, Rourke or Pavia?
Rourke they're so perfect for each, like what they're asked to do, right? Like Rourke has some good wide receivers. They're running it with Ellison pretty well. Their offensive line is playing much better. If I'm Indiana, I have that offense, I want Rourke, right? Because he's more of a manager and an operator. If I'm running Vanderbilt's system and I need, you know, Pavia and that style of slinger, competitor, athlete, then I want Pavia. Which, here's the thing. You got to credit Kurt Cignetti. You got to credit Clark Lee because they found the guy that was perfect, or they morphed their system and the character of their offense towards what the quarterback can do and is good at doing. So I didn't answer either question.
Yeah. I would.
That's a good one.
I think
I would take Rourke only because I'm partial to operators. You know, guys that can control the game from the pocket. I don't know if Pavia can do that, but boy, Pavia might have a better upside, as evident by the win over Alabama.
My magic football machine says the most likely scenario of an Indiana-Vandy matchup would be the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa. Used to be the Outback Bowl. That is a Big Ten SEC matchup.
I hope we get it. Yeah. You know, we've got this phantom matchup between these powers.
And by the way, I would take Pavia because he could quarterback for me. He could play third base on my slow pitch softball team, and he could do a kegger for my fraternity. He could do all that. I don't think Rourke
could do that. He could do all of that.
Yeah.
And by the way, now I'm just picturing him as my cleanup hitter on slow pitch softball, hitting bombs.
And he's
hitting bombs.
And he's making fun of Rourke and the Indiana boys for sliding a double in slow pitch softball.
No, I think Pavia is the guy in shorts sliding into second.
I do love watching him play football. All right, we get ready for another big SEC matchup in Georgia and Texas this week. You saw Oregon and you saw Ohio State in a classic game. Can you still buy in that Texas is the best team in the country, or because you just saw Oregon and Ohio State in a massive matchup where either team probably could split 10 games, do you believe Texas is the best team in the country, or do you think it was the Oregon-Ohio State winner?
Well, truthfully, I put Texas number one in my rankings. And the reason is that they've just been so dominant. You know, they're the number one offense, number one defense in the country. And I know that their wins before the season, if you would have said like, oh, they're going to go dominate Michigan, they're going to dominate Oklahoma, we'd be like, wow. But those obviously feel a little different based on the way that those two teams have played. And in particularly, those two teams have played on the offensive side of the ball. So do I think that Texas is probably the best offense in the country? Yeah, close to it. Do I think their defense is the best defense in the country? I'm not sure. I think that maybe those numbers could be inflated by the fact that they faced the two worst ranked offenses that we've seen this season. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Those two offenses, in particular at the time in which they faced Michigan. Maybe Michigan will get a little bit better with Tuttle. Oklahoma is a disaster on offense.
Oh, my gosh.
It is a disaster. And did I not tell you guys a few weeks ago, this is not a Jackson Arnold problem? You're not fixing this with a quarterback change. And, like, everything needs to go on the offensive side for OU. That is an absolute mess. So I put Texas number one because of their dominance so far. I struggled with, like, do I put Oregon up there? And the fact is that I've seen Oregon, and in their bag, I always go back to, like, what shot's in your bag? I've seen the duck hook of the Idaho game, right? So that's in their bag. Do you remember the 16, 17 U.S. Open at Chambers Bay? You guys are golf fans.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, the 17th hole has the railroad tracks on the right side.
Yep.
And Brendan Grace got up to the 17th tee, and we had shot tracer behind him. And he's, like, right in the thick of the tournament and hits it, like, right of the railroad tracks.
Not even close to the
tracer
tracks.
just went off the TV like
couldn't
that.
even
And
see
I'm
where
like,
it landed.
well, that's in his bag, right? Like, unfortunately, that's in his bag. For Oregon, they have the Brandon Grace, like, off the bag because that's what we saw against Idaho week one. Was it week one? Yes. Have they changed their offensive line? Yes. Have they fixed their offensive line? Largely, yes. They gave up 6 sacks in their first couple of weeks. They have not given up a sack, you know, in their last few, including not giving up a sack, at least statistically, last week against Ohio State, and a pass rush that we thought was going to be very good. So that, for those reasons, I put Texas number one and Oregon number two. And by the way, I kept Ohio State at 3 because they're in position to kick that field goal. Hated the offensive pass interference call. That was a bad call. Officiating in college football is atrocious right now, and specifically with that pass interference, OPI, DPI type of situation.
Joel Klatt is with us. He joins us each week courtesy of mybookie.ag. Code next round. When you sign on, they double that initial deposit. With code next round, bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag. Code next round. You are around a ton of college football coaches and a ton of complexes. I'm just curious because this has come up in relation to the end of the Alabama-South Carolina game. How many coaches do you think school it in their players to not score? If your opponent's out of timeouts, you're under the 2-minute. The way Jeremy Bernard did. Not enough, you don't think?
That specific situation, no one brings it up. I don't think, candidly, I don't think a lot of coaches are that confident in terms of knowing that situation has arrived. Most NFL teams have a code word for their huddle that signifies, like, we're gaining as many yards, basically first downs, not touchdowns, right? That's the situation.
The Bengals did last night.
Down, and we don't want a touchdown. And so there's a code word, and college teams don't talk about it. And generally speaking, guys, in college, you've got to spend so much time on the basics because the roster is larger. It's turning over constantly. You've got to recruit your own players. You've got to recruit future players. And what's lost is time with your students. So here's an example. 2 weeks ago, I did the UCLA Penn State game, right? And UCLA's offensive coordinator is Eric Bieniemy. Eric was actually the running back coach at Colorado when I first got there as a true freshman. So I've known Eric for a long time. And he bounced around in college and then went to the National Football League, and now he's back, and he's trying to help Deshaun Foster, which, by the way, they're getting a lot better, but not getting the results on the field. But he and I had a long, candid conversation about the differences in the two sports, both schematic, because I was more curious. And I wanted to hear about the schematics. What was the biggest difference in schematics? What was the biggest difference in terms of play calling, the structure of play calling, and the rhythm of play calling? And while I was very interested in what's going on the field, he was most interested in the difference in time that they got to spend with the players. And he said, Joel, the biggest issue in college football is that we don't have enough time to teach the players the sport because of this arbitrary and dumb 20-hour rule that has been around for a long, long time. And I said, where does it show itself first? And he said, situations. We have no ability to have enough time to teach kids the nuance of third downs and red zones and backed up and clock situations. And now the clock situations are even more magnified for two reasons. One is you've got a 2-minute timeout, so everyone gets to reset and really think about the strategy at the end of each half and specifically at the game. And then oh gosh, I lost my train of thought for the second thought. There was two thoughts, and I'm absolutely.
You can run out of bounds now until the 2-minute timeout. You can run out of bounds and the clock keeps going. That used to be a big difference in the final 4 minutes. Now it's down to 2 minutes.
Yes, and the opportunity to teach them about what's going on in those situations is just not there. And he thought that was the biggest difference in the two games. We could talk about the margin between the good player and the average player in college football and how that's a greater margin than at the National Football League level. We can talk about the hash marks and what that actually does to the game and the schematics of the game. But it's more so situational football, and that's why veteran teams tend to have more success now in the modern era, because the longer that you're around one system, then the more that you can go quickly through base offense and you can get to situations. But that's a great instance of a total failure and actually doing the one thing that allows the other team an opportunity to win. That was South Carolina's only opportunity to win, is if they score. And then they did. And you can't do that.
USC, 3 straight losses, 3 blown fourth quarter leads. Now they're sitting there at 3-3. Everything is off the table. Right there, the game you've got this weekend, Matt Rule in year 2, 5-1. Kirk Cignetti in year 1 at Indiana, 6-0. And if you're a USC fan, you used to believe, hey, Lincoln Riley, at least the offense is going to be right. If you watched how he called final possession in regulation, it was a disaster. Do you worry about this team? Because I heard they've got a good collective, but I heard a lot of these guys were too worried about the collective. Instead of winning last year, there was that issue going on, and now that they're 3-3, I just don't know where this team goes now, Joel.
So there isn't a better 3-3 team in the country. They
not going to make that fan base feel better.
I understand that. But everything that I'm going to say is true. Whether people want to hear it or accept it, that's not my problem. What I'm about to say is truthful. They are the best 3-3 team in the country. They are in a much better situation than Oklahoma is. That is an absolute disaster on one side of the ball. They are legitimately 3 to 4 snaps of the football away from being 5-1 or 6-0. If you looked at their schedule at the beginning of the year and you said you're going to have a chance to win every one of these games, I think that they would have taken it. And then the most alarming part is that with the defense being vastly improved, the offense has had opportunities in every one of these losses with a series, whether it's in the fourth quarter or late, whether it's to try to come back or to put the game away. They've gone onto the field and haven't executed. And I think that's the biggest worry. The last bit of truthful, information is that this is a transition year for them. You look at the youthfulness on the offensive line, you look at what's going on, and with their roster, this is not a roster that we should have expected, to make a deep run, and yet they're right there with a couple of snaps. And so I'm personally less concerned about USC than I am some other coaches. And I get it. The record, as you pointed out, Matt Rule's doing a great job and Cignetti's doing a great job. USC playing Indiana's schedule would be 6-0 without a doubt. There's just not a doubt in my mind. This is still a team with a win over LSU, and this is still a team that has had ample opportunities and had 7-point leads in every fourth quarter of all of these 3 losses. Sounds like I'm a USC apologist. You've got to go out there and win the games. But having said that, man, Bobby Bowden used to say, you lose big, you lose small, then you win small, then you win big. And as this team is growing, I feel like these small losses, if they can retain some culture, will turn into small wins and then can turn into big wins. But Lincoln's not a bad coach, guys. Like that. And here's the other part. Have you seen, I can't stand our industry. Oh, I can't stand it. Like, we put up these stupid graphics about, in his first 27 games, it's the same as Clay Helton. Or it used to happen with Jim Harbaugh. You guys from the South used to be, Paul Feinbaum, just a clown, would put up those graphics about Brady Hoke and Jim Harbaugh. And it's like, if you're too dumb to understand that the programs are in vastly different spots, then that's not my problem. And unfortunately, narratives start and fans that maybe aren't totally privy to watching the games and really understanding the sport, they'll buy into these narratives about like, well, he's no different than Clay Helton. Like, give me a break. Those programs are in vastly different spots. And so that's what I get frustrated with, is I think that the narrative is false with USC.
Hugh Freeze, Brian Harsin, we're seeing those graphics here at Auburn right now, so we're familiar with those graphics. They're just real. I don't know if you've seen it or not. I don't want to put you on the spot, but Kirby Smart pushing the Mississippi State player. Can you give me your thoughts on that from a high IQ football mountaintop? What do you think of that situation?
Well, you probably give me too much credit. Should have gotten a flag. Official is right there. And if a player does the same thing, gets a flag immediately. And in a lot of ways, the flag would have kind of put it to bed, allowed him to address it right away. That's number one. Number two, come out and apologize. Like, just come on, man. Like, makes it really easy to dislike the program with everything going on there. Like, it's frustrating from my standpoint because you want, I don't want it to be an issue. I want to just talk about Texas and Georgia. I want to talk about Beck's 400 yards. I want to talk about how, like, hey, what is Georgia's run game? Is it the 3 games where they've run it for over 5 yards a carry, or is it the 3 games that they've run it for under 4 yards per carry? Is that the key to their season? Does a second loss put them in a precarious spot in terms of moving forward for the play? And no, we're sitting here talking about Kirby, running and bumping into a Mississippi State player. Just apologize and put it behind you, and then, like, let's move on. And from that standpoint, it's infuriating. Like, and it's in his hands. Just address it and move on. I generally disdain topics that take the focus off of the players, off of the execution, and off of the sport. And this is one of those. This is one of those times and topics. Do I think that it was heat of the moment and it kind of like, listen, is he a bad guy? Should he get like super reprimand? Probably not. It kind of all happens right there. One, should there have been a flag? Yes, absolutely. Again, like, the officials, what are officials doing right now? And number two, just address it and move on so that we can talk about the game this week.
By the way, Kalen DeBoer 5-1 in his first 6 games. Nick Saban 4-2.
Oh, okay, there's another comparison. Build the graphic.
Clearly.
Build the graphic.
Build the graphic.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer's next game is at Tennessee. Joel Klatt is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. MyBookie has Alabama a 2.5-point favorite at Tennessee right now. There is no way around the fact that Nico is regressing, though, Joel. I don't know who's going to win this game, but Nico is regressing.
No doubt. No doubt. Both of these teams desperately need this win.
Yeah.
Because not just for the obvious like standings scenarios going on, but just for the confidence in the locker room. And Nico definitely needs it. I think Bama's secondary has got to be thrilled right now that it's like, oh man, thankfully this passing game is not on point, because that's the only part of Tennessee's team that I don't think is very good, is their passing game. Here's what's going on with Nico, and I've gone and watched the film. Okay, there's a lot of different offensive systems out there. I happen to cut my teeth on a system where the timing of the offense and the timing of the passing structure was kept in the quarterback's feet. Okay, and this is a very West Coast philosophy, and I understand that, but I think it's a philosophy that should be adopted more and more widespread. What you see generally is that the best offenses at both the NFL level and in wide part at the college level have some roots in the West Coast and have some roots in this idea that the timing of the spacing of the passing game is kept in the quarterback's feet. So this is what that means. Like, there was all sorts of different drop backs based on the concept you were running. There's a quick 3 and firm. There's a big 3 and firm. There's a quick 5 and firm. There's a quick 5 and close. There's a quick big 5 and close. There's a quick 7 and firm. All these different types of clocks, and this is how your feet operate. You're running through, you're hitting your last step, and you're getting the ball out. You're hitting your last step, and you're closing in a hitch step. And when you're in a close clock, then it's 1 close to number 1, 1 close to number 2, and then if you're on your 3rd close, you better be on the check down or running. So the clock of the offense is kept in the quarterback's feet, right? And you can teach a guy how to work through his progression, and then based on his clock and his feet, the wide receivers understand when they need to be presenting the pictures necessary and the spacing necessary for him to create completions. Now, if you don't do that, then basically you're just trying to say, like, hey, quarterback, like, hey, read through it. And it's like, well, on what timing? And what I see from young Nico Iamaleava is that he doesn't understand the urgency with which to run through the progression. Someone needs to stand behind him like a melodrome or whatever they call it, and just give him a rhythm of like 1, 2, 3, ball, because he stands there and just hangs on 1. Every time I do this in my show, every time I say hangs, I think of Teddy KGB hanging around. He's hanging around on number 1. And I'm like, man, like, get the ball out. And that's what's wrong with their passing game, is the timing with which he operates is too slow. And he sits on one read while another in the picture is coming open, and then there's very little anticipatory throwing. That needs to change. I don't know if it's going to change in 1 week. And then on the flip side, Alabama's in a position where if their offense doesn't play well, they're going to be in a tight game. And if their defense doesn't play well, they're going to be in a shootout. And basically meaning if they face a good team, there's a good likelihood that they're going to need to score 40 points. And if they don't play a good team like South Carolina and Milroe struggles at all, they're going to be like battling for it. And This is I think it's a desperation game. Think about the narrative surrounding Tennessee and Josh Heupel, or even worse, like the narrative surrounding Alabama if they go lose to a struggling redshirt freshman quarterback in Tennessee, and Kalen DeBoer takes his 2nd loss. They look bad for 3 straight weeks. I mean, oh my goodness. Then he would be 5-2, exactly like Nick Saban was in his first year.
Yeah, exactly.
Metronome, the word you were looking for.
Metronome, there you go.
The only points I deduct from that otherwise spectacular description there is metronome.
Well, my vocabulary's never been strong.
Metrodome actually collapsed.
That is correct,
point.
yes.
Yeah.
Bad snow day.
Oh, that's right, under the weight of the snow.
That is right. All right, he is Joel Klatt. See him Saturday as Nebraska visits Indiana. And no way did I think this would be an 11-1 combined record game this year. That's pretty remarkable. That's right. What we're getting on the Big Noon Kick.
It is. And wrap your head around the fact that on November 23rd, Indiana could play Ohio State, and the undefeated team is Indiana.
I know.
Wow. How about
It's
that?
even crazier, yes.
By the way, I never had Provo to Bloomington on your travel itinerary, buddy.
By the way, how good is that BYU team?
Defensively, they're really good. I think their front seven is well, first of all, their front seven, they've got like 3 25-year-olds. And, it's like, that's a thing, guys. Like,
Fafita had no shot in that game. I mean, they were in his grill nonstop.
Yes, and their defensive structure is actually incredibly intricate because they're all veterans. They had injuries last year at safety, so they played a lot of safeties, and now they get all of these guys back. They're older players. It's Jay Hill's second year. And so the defense is really good. I don't know how good their offense is, but if you're asking me, like, could that team win a Big 12 championship? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
And partly because of what that league is. And, I think that league is 6 or 7 teams deep in terms of any given Saturday could win the Big 12 championship. BYU's one of them, which you got to wrap your head around what this means for the playoff. Like, we're going to have a pretty random Big 12 champ get a bye and a top 4 seed in the college football playoff, which I think is fantastic. Being in Provo, guys, Arizona playing BYU, and it's like there's playoff implications. The fact that people thought that the expanded playoff was going to ruin the regular season is comical to me because it's just made it better.
Yeah, I was wrong about that. I thought it would ruin it, and it has not. Best press box view in football, Provo?
It's pretty good. Unfortunately for like Folsom in Colorado, the mountains are behind you because you're on the other side of the Rockies, whereas like in Provo, you're at the beginning of the Rockies. So if press boxes are always on the west side, why? Because the sun sets in the west in the afternoon, and you don't want people in the press box staring into the sun. So fields always lie north and south so that one team is not staring into the sun, going all these different things. But yes, that's the reason why it's probably the best view in all of football.
Oh, okay. All right, here's Joel Klatt. You'll see him on that game, Indiana-Nebraska, on Saturday. Thank you very much, Klatt. Have a great week.
You got it, guys. Have a great week.
All right, buddy. We'll see you next week. Klatt with us each week, courtesy of mybookie.ag. Code next round. Your initial deposit. When you sign up and make that deposit, they double it when you use code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag.
Yeah, and it should be pointed out, press boxes can face the west like they do in Tuscaloosa. Broadcast booths no longer face the west. They're in the good part of the field.
Joel lives in the high-dollar neighborhood.
Yeah, again, special thanks to Daniel Jones and HydroLive coming in studio last Friday, bringing bags up here, IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, now weight loss therapy, all under one roof. If you're tired of feeling stuck in your weight loss goals, discover personalized approach that works with HydroLive Therapy's weight loss therapy. HydroLive combines hydration therapy with targeted weight loss treatments. They provide a comprehensive approach to weight management. For more information and to book an appointment online, hydrolivetherapy.com. Walk-ins welcome as well. Very important. Mention the next round. 20% off all these great services from our friends at HydroLive. 2 locations in Birmingham, 1 in Tuscaloosa. For more information, hydrolivetherapy.com.
A lot of AP voters started to ghost Tennessee this week as they dropped down despite sort of the same type of game as Alabama had with South Carolina. Alabama 7, Tennessee down to 11 as they host the Tide as an underdog. You can enjoy the Ghost Energy flavors that are out there. Ghost Energy and Ghost Hydration. Authentic flavors, 0 sugars, no BS. Look for Ghost Energy and Ghost Hydration at all retailers that sell energy and hydration drinks near you. Go chase the ghost.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game, or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster. Champy's Chicken.
Are you tired of buying your CPAP mask and supplies online only to be disappointed? It's time to visit CPAP Plus, your locally owned and operated CPAP shop that prides itself on personal service. Come see what you're buying at CPAP Plus with 3 convenient locations in Pelham, Highway 280, and now open in Trustful. Drop by for a free CPAP checkup and free filters, no appointment needed. Plus, sign up for their giveaway for a chance to win a free travel CPAP machine. Just Google CPAP Plus or visit any of those 3 locations.
Hey, you. Feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair. To kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Spring weather is here, and our friends at Hemphill Services are offering a $69 HVAC tune-up plus 10% off any service call when you mention the next round. Call Adam, Chad, and the guys at Hemphill Services. Make sure your HVAC unit is ready to keep up with the changing weather. Hemphill Services, locally owned and operated independent train dealer. The team can service all makes and models. For all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs, call Hemphill Services. It's hard to stop a train. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com. That's 205-229-2090, hemphillservices.com.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Our friends at Milo's Hamburger invites you to join them in the fight against hunger in our local communities by bringing non-perishable food items to your local Milo's, including canned goods. When you donate a canned good or any non-perishable food item, Milo's will give you a free drink. Together, we can make a difference.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
You can't wait for college football talk every Monday, so we don't make you wait. Ryan Brown here for The Next Round. You can catch ESPN's Tom Luganbill with Jim Dunaway on Monday Morning Live at 7 a.m. I'm with Brandon Marcello on the Middle 8 at 8 after The Next Round. Hear from Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer and Auburn coach Hugh Freeze. After the coaches talk, Fox Sports analyst Brock Heward joins Lance Taylor for Unlocked at 1 o'clock. All college football, all day Monday, anywhere you get The Next Round.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios. The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Final hour of the show. Overtime, though, comes up today where we hear from Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer. Hugh Freeze getting ready for Auburn's trip to Missouri after a week off, and they've really been off the conversation point here. And then Unlocked with Lance Taylor and Brock Heward coming up at around 1 o'clock Central Time, all still to come. You can go get the Middle 8 with Brandon Marcello and the Monday Morning Live with Tom Luganbill already today. It's available where you get our podcast, always on our YouTube channel, where we ask you to give us a thumbs up. We'll do our stock report in a little bit, but right now I want to tell you that part of the show today is being brought to you by our friends at Hemphill Services. Cooler temperatures on the way. And there's some days this week, I think we're only into the low 70s, maybe high 60s.
Got the firewood this weekend. Ready to get that fire pit rolling. 205-229-2090. Whether you experience plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. Hard to stop a train. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
And our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, they're always the sponsor of this hour. Enjoyed Sterling coming up here and bringing us some food on Friday. It was a great way to start the weekend off. You can start your workday, second half of your workday off with a little lunch there. It's open right now, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Go by there and see Sterling, that great Southern fried chicken, all the sides. They'll cater your office meetings, your parties, and also they'll give you the opportunity to have the best tailgate out there with Champy's Chicken, champyschicken.com. Friday night, we'll get the opportunity with our friends at Night Edie to broadcast the Alabama game against Wake Forest, exhibition game down at Boutwell. Bama in Boutwell. Tickets are on sale right now. Just a few left. If you want to be a part of this unique experience, go to the BamaInBoutwell.com website and take advantage of that ticket opportunity. We'll broadcast that game coming up on Friday night. The first AP poll is out, Brownie. Saw Ken Palm earlier today that went Houston, Auburn, Alabama, 1, 2, 3. How does the AP voters have it?
They disagree with that. They've got Kansas number one.
Kansas number one.
Kansas has been there a lot.
Yeah,
Kansas
they have been there a lot.
Yeah, so it's not uncommon to see Kansas number one.
Former Alabama shooter Rylan Griffin on that team.
Yeah, I'll tell you what is a bit uncommon is seeing Alabama at number two. First time it's ever happened, in fact.
Well, I've seen Andy Katz had him number one. Ken Palm had him, I correct myself, Ken Palm, Houston, Duke, Auburn, Alabama, UConn.
Okay.
I've seen a couple people have Alabama number one. I didn't really want.
You don't want to be preseason number one?
No. That's a lot of pressure. I mean, number two seems to be a lot less pressure.
No pressure at all, number two. That's the highest preseason ranking in Alabama basketball history. Kansas got 30 first-place votes. Alabama got 14. UConn is third with 11 first-place votes. Houston fourth with 4 first-place votes. Iowa State fifth. They did not get a first-place vote. Gonzaga did at number 6. Rounding out the top 10, Duke is number 7. Baylor is number 8. Then you've got North Carolina number 9, Arizona number 10. Auburn checks in at 11, just outside the top 10 to start the season for the Auburn Tigers. I mean, our state is crazy, man, with Alabama number 2, Auburn number 11 in basketball.
And that's top 2 SEC, if I'm seeing that correctly.
That is the top 2 SEC teams. So the remainder of the SEC would be Tennessee at 12, Texas A&M at 13, John Calipari in Arkansas at number 16.
Largest collective in the sport, by the way.
Texas at number 19. Florida at number 21. Kentucky at number 23. Ole Miss at number 24. In case you wonder what the SEC is going to be like this year, that's a lot of top 25
teams. 9 of them, 9 SEC teams.
Do you think with Musselman still there, it would be the largest collective?
No, it would not.
No.
I mean, Cal raised $500,000 just to get the logo changed at midcourt.
Yeah. To bring it back.
To bring back the slobbering hog from the other Razorback they'd gone to. $500,000.
Yeah.
He says, Cal goes on, he's like, I'll tell you what, we want the slobbering hog back. If I get $500,000 to the NIL, we'll bring it back. And they did it. $500,000. No, it would not be with Musselman.
That was the hog they had with Nolan Richardson, correct?
Right. The old slobbering hog where our guy Alex Dillard used to shoot from the snout. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. By the way, the Ole Miss kicker hit it from the logo in overtime in that Ole Miss LSU game.
Damn, he drilled that kid.
Yeah, and I thought he bailed Lane and them out.
I did too.
Until very first place, Nussmeier cut him loose.
Well, do you want me to start this? Because I'm going to that game unless you are.
You talking about the sock report?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. It's brought to you by our friends at McCurry. Get the spotlight ready to go. When Tyler hits the button, then Brownie will tell us about McCurry. So do it, man.
The College Football Spotlight.
Stock up. Stock down. College football stock report.
Cars, vans, trucks, SUVs, passenger vans, all right there at McCurry Van and Car Rental, Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, 2nd Avenue Northwest in Coleman, and Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. Reserve your rental today, 256-559-1003. That's 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com. On Monday, we do the stock report, and Lance's is hot.
Well, I'll start with my stock up. Tyler Warren, number 44 for Penn State. Career high 8 catches against Bowling Green in week 2. 14 grabs. The complete offense went through him, and I don't think it's going to turn back. This guy, I think NFL scouts are noticing 6'6", the catch radius, soft hands. He can run in the open field. this guy made a ton of money on Saturday. And I think James Franklin was like, damn, let's keep doing this, because that offense is still with Singleton and Allen not running the football enough, but Tyler Warren, major weapon for Penn State. Ole Miss stock down. They've lost 2 of 3. They should have been up 24-0 in that game.
Left so many points on the field.
And it's lack of discipline, 12 penalties, 2 turnovers. They look like the better team. They were the better team against Kentucky, and they lost that game. And for Ole Miss fans, you thought you weren't going to be tested until Baton Rouge. And with what you've seen with LSU, that's a team you should have beaten. And Lane Kiffin now 0-3 in Tiger Stadium. And with that second loss, I don't think they go the remainder of the year with a loss. I still lean that they're going to be out, although it seems like we're going to have more than 1 3-loss team in this.
They still got to play Georgia.
But they've still got to play Georgia. You've got to go to Arkansas. You got to go to Florida. That's a losable game now.
When you have when you're known as the offensive mind that Lane Kiffin is, 17 in the loss against Kentucky,
27 against South Carolina. It didn't look good offensively.
23 against LSU, where most people score a lot more points against LSU than that. That was in regulation. They ended up with 26.
Yeah, we should have had that in the first quarter.
They ran up all these gaudy numbers against a crap pre-conference schedule, and people started to buy into it. Once they've hit conference play, what has happened?
Well, and here's another
thing. Back to our Friday discussion about Jackson Dart's numbers. A lot of those came against
and you can say what you want, and we talked about this in the offseason, how you regulate this, and I don't know if you can, but the fake injuries. And now in their last 3 Power 4 matchups, they've had 29 of them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch.
They had fewer against LSU because
they got called out.
They got called out.
But
They had to make a statement.
Yeah, they had to release a statement about the fake injuries.
Yeah.
But
it's an epidemic
when
for
the
Kiffin.
fake injuries started happening was down the stretch in that game.
Yeah.
I will say this, Alabama fans, I think that was all too what's the word I'm looking for? Familiar ending for Ole Miss under Pete Golding. For Nussmeier to convert that, well, first of all, on the final possession, the 2 fourth-down conversions, the first one to Mason Taylor,
Yep.
and then you hit with the game on the line, Kyron Lacey in the end zone, just a remarkable touchdown. And then the first play in overtime, I think Alabama fans are like, yep, I have seen that right there.
That game played out almost, and I know you guys were watching, almost exactly the way USC Penn State played out.
Yeah, you're right.
They did.
One team dominated, should have easily walked away with a win.
And then 4th down conversions on that final drive, because Penn State had 2 of them as well.
You want me to go?
Yep.
My stock up, MVB, not MVP.
Mountain Brook Volleyball?
No, I'm off the board on this one. I just want to give credit to Michael Van Buren. That guy goes into Sanford Stadium.
Yeah, real quick before you get to your point, when I talked about Ole Miss potential losses, I mean, the Egg Bowl is the Egg Bowl, and that kid played his ass off.
He played his. I just want to give him credit. That was a 10-point game, probably not realistically a 10-point game. But it's 10 points on the scoreboard because that guy threw for 306 yards and 3 touchdowns on the road with Mississippi State's roster in Athens. That guy deserves some credit for doing that Saturday.
And they got down 24. They continue to battle.
That's
so
right.
I give Levy and Van Buren a lot of credit. I thought Van Buren would be one of the reasons Georgia would win this game going away. And Georgia, there's something missing.
If you'll remember, though, back on, it was a Monday morning live, right after the quarterback got hurt at Starkville. And
Blake Shapen.
Yep. And Luganville told me, he said, in a weird way, this is going to benefit Mississippi State because I believe the quarterback behind him is the quarterback of the future, and he's better and needs time to grow, but it will eventually help Mississippi State.
He grew Saturday. That was a good performance. I got to bring Scott in, if we could, Tyler. I need to bring Scott in for my stock down. Billy Napier, the Florida head coach, is famous for a saying in a halftime interview. Scott, do you remember what that saying was?
Billy Napier, while he was at Louisiana, I believe, said,
correct.
"Scared money don't make money."
Where was those scared money don't make money Billy Napier at the end of that game Saturday night? How you don't go for 2 there?
He was going for 2. I really believe that they don't call the timeout, and then he overthought
Well, come back out with another
I
play.
agree.
How you don't go for 2? Okay.
He hadn't slept since, I bet.
I mean, Dunaway, I do not get this. You have been awful in the red zone in that game. Awful.
You have been. Yep.
They left so many points on the field. You choose to play the rest of the game in the red zone by going to overtime, where you've been awful all night. You're 3 yards away from a win. You tell me in overtime you're going to be 3 yards away from a win. How it is criminal that Billy Napier did not go for 2.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's, you've heard the old adage, if you ask them before the game, one play to win the game, would they take it?
Yes.
Billy Napier would have said, hell yeah.
Yeah, well, you got it, and you didn't take it.
Yeah, you want to know the truth from what happened there? I guarantee that 85% of the 2-point reps in practice were run by the quarterback that's out for the season.
Well, Graham Mertz is out for the year now. He's torn his ACL, and that's unfortunate because that was his best game.
And they didn't have him for that 2-point scenario there. But I do think they were lined up before the timeout.
No. They lined up, and they lined up in a trick formation, and that's what forced Heupel to call the timeout. But I can't believe that's your only 3-point or your only 2-point play.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have some 2-point plays with DJ Lagway, and I know your backup quarterback, but Jim, the other option is I got to now go to overtime with that same backup quarterback. In overtime, are you going to be 3 yards from a victory? And that answer is most likely no, and there you were in regulation.
Nowadays, you are if you make it to the third overtime. I mean, it becomes a 2-point conversion shootout.
God, and much like Ole Miss, they left a lot of points on the field, too. The fumble at the one.
Florida was awful in the red zone.
Illegal substitution with the field goal.
And Florida should have easily won that game.
I will give you my McCurry car and truck rental here now, and then we'll get to Dr. B and what he's doing for LT's hair. But Big Ten for me, Ducks, Bucks, and Lions. They now, all percentages are up to make the national championship game. The Big Ten, remember when we were talking about the Big Ten maybe would have 3 teams in the playoffs? These 3 seem to be locks now, and then we'll see what happens with the rest of the Big Ten getting other teams in, like an Indiana, like someone else. For me, it's back to Ole Miss, the old collective hottie mess that we have in Oxford. Millions and millions of dollars given extra by the Ole Miss collective to go out into the portal and bring in this super roster. And right now, they may be the most disappointing team in the SEC, even more than Auburn.
I think they are the most disappointing. Yeah, I mean,
with that schedule,
I didn't expect all. I mean,
I
expected Auburn to be
playoff or disaster.
And you're halfway through the season, Jim. It's not that you've gotten to the Egg Bowl and like crap, you lost the Egg Bowl and you're out of the playoff. You're halfway through the season.
Egg Bowl's in play now too.
Oh, sure.
With improving Mississippi State. Jackson Dart in tears after that loss over the weekend. Our Dr. B sound of the day, Tyler, if you can give me a little Lane Kiffin. Let Lane talk to us a little bit here. Give me number 7 from Lane, because he's going to talk about what these two guys have been talking about all day long in that contest. Lane Kiffin, after it's going to be a disappointing loss when they look back at this season down in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I mean, those things catch up with you. You miss a field goal. You have 4th and 1 where we don't get it cut off, and so we get stops. We get no points in the red zone. We hand them 3 points with the fumble at the end of the half. So, again, that's why I felt like we really were outplaying them. We were the better team for the majority of the game. But, again, you got to close them out. But, yeah, we left a lot of points there, and still, after all that, be ahead with the ball in the 4th quarter. Tough one. Just sometimes things just suck.
Wow,
Forrester, we've been in that visiting locker room before after an Alabama loss or an Auburn loss, and there is not a louder post-game visiting locker room news conference area than in Tiger Stadium.
Oh yeah, I mean, if the Tigers just got a big win against the team that you're covering, you're going to hear them.
Yeah, you struggle to get in there sometimes. Like the fans are exiting right there. I mean, it's a disaster.
And it's half the size of our studio.
Oh yeah, it's a tiny closet. Yeah, and it's right.
Yeah, I want to say I think Lane Kiffin has done a really good job at Ole Miss for that brand. I just don't know if that brand's ever going to win a championship.
But your point is, we expected this team to be a playoff team this year.
They had to be with this schedule. They had to be.
And that is saying a lot to the job Lane has done about Ole Miss. Yeah. Tell us about Dr. B. We're going to get to see Dr. B this week.
Yeah, we're going to be out hanging out with Dr. B Wednesday after our show. Got a little event going on there. We will give you more information about that. For more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. Dr. B and that great staff today scheduled the consultation, 205-319-0316. I've been doing the non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time on the couch for the last couple of years. My hair has more than doubled in thickness. Be preemptive. If you want to maintain what you've got, if you want to grow some back, Dr. B is the guy that can do it for you. For more information, 205-319-0316 or t3hair.net.
And our friends at Way to Wellness, personalized planning that works for you when it comes to jumpstarting your weight loss or controlling blood pressure or cholesterol. Leslie and her board-certified team will take to you. Saw someone at the banner unveiling this past week that said, I've always heard you talk about this, so I went by there. Felt weird as a guy to go by there, but I went by there and did it and started losing weight. I just happened to be in Birmingham and swung by there and love Leslie and her board-certified team. They'll take care of you. They've got the medical weight loss supervision as well, the injections and everything that you see so popular right now. Meal replacements as well. All board-certified medical professionals. No contracts, no sign-up fees, and that first consultation is free. Planforme.com, planforme.com. Brownie.
If I'm an Ole Miss fan, Lance, what drives me the battiest right now about this is I've got the leading passer in the Southeastern Conference by 400 yards.
In the nation.
And the leading receiver in the Southeastern Conference by another 400 yards.
Bad drop, by the way.
But he wasn't on the field late. He got injured. Wasn't out there
he's
late.
banged up. But still, I've got those two things, and I've already taken 2 losses. I mean, how do I process this?
Yeah, those are carbs. Those are what are bad carbs.
They're
Brownie.
empty carbs.
They're empty carbs. Most of those stats are coming in bad situations.
And you're also third nationally in scoring defense, giving up less than 11 points per game.
Yeah. And I've got 2 losses.
And it's not like LSU cut you up offensively.
No, but we got to stop looking at Ole Miss and stats. We just got to go and look at their meaningful games. We got to take out Kent State and Middle Tennessee and who else they play there.
Oh, a bunch of nobodies.
But that's what's got to be frustrating when their offense against Kentucky, and Kentucky's got a good defense, but you've got to be able to get more out of that, and then the opportunities you have. Again, I go back to the blown opportunities, the 12 penalties, just not a lot of discipline right now.
Before we get to cut 3, Tyler, I want to bring up the betting side of Vanderbilt. Nice win at mybookie.ag for me.
Oh, good job over Kentucky.
I was like, man, I'm just going to take Vandy, and I'm just going to money line it. Remember I said it on the Saturday show. I'm just going to money line it because if I feel like I'm getting 12.5, but I can get more odds on a money line here, and maybe Vandy just wins this game.
I think it was Desmond and Saban. It was their super dog on, and I'm like, oh, boy, here we go. Everybody's buying it.
I'm kicking myself that it wasn't my super dog.
I know.
But they never trailed LT. Vandy they were never behind in the game.
Oh, I thought they were down 7, and Kentucky was driving, and they had that fumble on the sideline where Vandy jumped on it.
Oh,
I thought Kentucky was about to go up 14.
I had them never trailing in that game.
Maybe
I miswatched it.
They didn't trail when it mattered the most. So there you go.
I thought they were about to go up 14, and then at that point, I thought it was going to be difficult for Vanderbilt to be able to come back, but they forced the timely turnover, and Pavia did Pavia things. And you got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah. This Kentucky team is just so wildly inconsistent. And if I'm a Kentucky fan, I am put out by Mark Stoops. You give them all this money, and they're just so wildly inconsistent.
But for Vanderbilt to beat Alabama, and then
it was the classic letdown.
Yeah, and the people in Las Vegas who are really good at what they do make you a 2-touchdown underdog. It ends up being 12.5, and nobody in the world that follows this professionally was thinking that Vanderbilt was going to win this game. And they won the game. I mean, that says a lot about this team. Diego Pavia, Jerry Kill, Clark Lee, whoever you want to pick out for that Vanderbilt roster. That's a pretty impressive 4-2 and more impressive win on the road.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance that Will Shepard, who ended up being one of the go-tos down the stretch for Colorado because the receivers were so banged up, do you ever regret transferring from Vanderbilt?
Probably. I mean, he's probably having a good time in Boulder, but I mean, Nashville's fun too.
Yeah, Nashville's a good town.
Yeah.
They drink good.
I think Vanderbilt's a better team than Colorado.
Oh, I would take Vanderbilt in a head-to-head matchup. I would agree with you. They did not trail, so you're right about that, Jim. I just looked it up. Vanderbilt never trailed at 7-7 at one point.
It.
You must have dreamed it. I don't know what to do about this team. Like somebody asked me on Twitter, I sent out the very first odds when Circa sends them out, and he's like, Vandy's a 27.5 point favorite in an FBS game. Like, what world are we living in? And I asked Furman, I was like, is this the biggest you can remember? And Furman's looking it up. He thought offhand that this might be the biggest point spread favorite Vanderbilt has been in our lifetime. I mean, we are living in a different world of Vanderbilt football.
Back to the game that's going to be on everybody's mind all week. Some people calling it an elimination game for Alabama and Tennessee this week. Not quite to that point, but we were calling the same thing at LSU Ole Miss last week. So to be fair, potential elimination game in Knoxville this week. Jalen Milroe on what they've learned from Vandy and South Carolina, maybe how it could help them in Knoxville.
I think that's the biggest thing about playing a position. You know, of course you plays you want back. Even if I didn't throw a pick, there's always a play I want back throughout the whole game. And it's all about bouncing back and then maximizing any play that you have. You know, the mistakes are gonna come. You know, that's the best thing about football is that mistakes allow you to learn and grow from it. And so I can definitely say the mistakes that I've had in football, it does give me an opportunity to learn and grow as much as possible. So it's just a great learning moment.
Okay. We say this about other people, and sometimes we are not as hard on the people closest to us at Alabama and Auburn. Has Jalen Milroe regressed since the first half of the Georgia game?
Maybe. I mean, the first half of the Georgia game, he was spectacular. So that is a tough bar of comparison. I think when Nico, you look at the whole year, the year in totality, he's obviously regressing. I don't think that was Milroe's best game, obviously. The Vanderbilt game, was a step down from the Georgia game as well.
He had 17 minutes, but yes.
Yeah, I know.
They only get to play one song.
I mean, the numbers he put up in one song were pretty good.
Yeah.
I would say, Lance, the first interception he threw, I question what the coach, what are you doing there? Why are you asking your quarterback to do that to begin with? He can't throw the interception. I get it, but I'm not certain he should have been put in that position.
Well, we tend to do that about our local quarterbacks. We blame it on the coordinator when they regress, and we blame it on the player. I mean, it may be the coordinator. It may be Heupel's play calling in Knoxville. For all I know,
the second pick. I mean, sometimes defenses just make really good plays. I mean, that looks wide open for a touchdown. He puts it where he thinks only his receiver can get it, and the defender made a phenomenal play to come off his guy and make the pick out of nowhere.
Much like quarterback play under Lincoln Riley, quarterback play under Kalen DeBoer has been unbelievable. From Jay Kaner to Michael Penix to what you saw early on with Jalen Milroe. I do think he's taken a step back just because of the turnovers. And you're right, that was great defensive play, but still 4 turnovers in 2 games.
Yeah, and you can't turn it over when you're about to score. That's points off the board right there. There's no doubt.
Yep.
But, I mean, that was just a tremendous play by that defensive back. Sometimes you just got to give the defense credit and say, it wasn't an awful throw, but the guy made the play.
But is this possibly the best defense he's faced coming up in Tennessee? Well, I would say Georgia, but...
No. I think at this point, if you look at 41, is that what it was, or 31 from Mississippi State, I'm going to say this is the best defense he's faced so far.
And you saw what they did to Georgia's defense in the first half.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Alabama.
When you see Georgia in a shootout with Mississippi State, you start to just wonder how valuable that Georgia win is right now. Maybe it's a little false hope on how you dominated Georgia.
I will say now, Tennessee's defense the last couple of weeks has shown some cracks. Their offense is putting them in a tough spot because their offense is what?
I mean, they've allowed 19 and 7.
But they've also had difficulty closing out the game, much like Alabama has.
Go back to what Klatt said about USC at 3-3, not concerned because they could easily be 6-0. Yeah. A couple of snaps. Alabama's 2 plays away from being 3-3 with 3 consecutive losses.
Absolutely are.
Yeah. And 6 minutes and 45 seconds away from losing to USF too. 21-16.
I'm not going to go that far.
Different.
Not going to go that far.
Okay. Well, Trash is coming up on the other side. Show being brought to you in part today by our friends at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Get ready for this fall weather with our friends at Johnston RV.
Hey, it's finally here. We're in 60s and 70s all week. So I've been telling you fall weather's coming for, 3 or 4 weeks now. It's finally here. You can go enjoy it with an RV from Johnston RV Center and great savings as well. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. You can get travel trailers as low as $145 a month. You save big on fifth wheels as well. They start with savings over $45,000. Lowest prices of the season right now. RV warranty forever. Make sure you got a lifetime warranty on anything new and qualifying pre-owned. JohnstonRVCenter.com. Trash is next.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at ryanbrownlive.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today. Bryant Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey, this is Matt Roth, the franchisee of Walk On Sports Bistro in Birmingham. With the kickoff of football season, come visit us at one of our 3 locations, Stadium Trace, Greystone, or Trussville. Come enjoy our scratch kitchen menu while watching one of our 80 TVs. Whether you're looking for a pre- or post-game celebration, game day, or date night, we've got you covered. It's all about the win at Walk On Sports Bistro. Walk On, where everybody needs a little playing time.
Hey, you. Feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair. To kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Hang out with The Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out The Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Before LT tells us about Michelson laser vision, Forrester, can you pull me the AP basketball poll up? Just want to, LT has called me out a couple of times that, geez, you talk more basketball now than ever. You go to more games than ever before. Just looking at the AP basketball poll, this is from Will. Auburn in at number 3 in the Ken Palm. They're number 11 in the AP Top 25. Using the Ken Palm, Auburn will play 1, 2, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 18, and 24. So that many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 top 25 teams, and a possibility in tournaments against 5 and 14. So a very different Auburn basketball schedule this year. While using the AP poll, you go back and you look, and it's Alabama who plays number 4 Houston, North Carolina, Auburn twice, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Purdue, Creighton, Arkansas, Texas, Florida, and Kentucky twice. So against Houston, Carolina, twice with Auburn, Tennessee, A&M, Purdue, Creighton, Arkansas, Texas, Florida, and twice with Kentucky. So both of these teams with great rosters, but even better schedule. That's a lot of big games.
So at the end of both the football and basketball seasons, more SEC ranked football or basketball, because you got 9 preseason.
Yeah.
And right now in football, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.
It's tough. Yeah, I don't know which one I go.
If you give me the KenPom basketball and you give me the college football playoff ranking committee, throw the AP out, I'll say basketball has more.
I would lean basketball.
You know what those two schedules show you though is and I'm glad about this, because what do we want as fans? Just more good games, right?
Right.
The NCAA has basically, the selection committee's basically said, we don't really care if you win them or lose them, just play them.
11 losses for Alabama last year, and what is, I watched the banner go up on Friday. It's a
Final Four team.
It's the best season in Alabama history, but it didn't feel that way during the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, and the selection committee's just saying, we just want you to play those games.
Yeah, here's the banner being unveiled on Friday night as they drop that black covering there. And I thought it should have been a bigger banner, by the way.
Was the crowd pretty good?
It was about 6,800 unofficial count by me at 8:30 at night on a Friday night.
By you.
Did you get chills when the banner dropped?
I did. I got bigger chills when Nate Oates walked over to me and said hi. But
Such an easy touch.
But yeah. Michelson Laser Vision, you did that, right?
I have not.
Okay.
205-969-8100. Make that phone call. The phone call that I made more than 2 decades ago. I had the 20/200 vision. I was legally blind without the aid of contacts. Now 2015 vision, better than 20/20. Make the phone call that I made. Ask for Amy. Ask her about the pre-inflation pricing. She's going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. 0 to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. 205-969-8100 or MichelsonLaserVision.com.
There were 2 massive injuries in that Florida-Tennessee game, and unfortunately, both of them have turned out to be season-ending. We told you Graham Mertz is out for the year, that Billy Napier has now confirmed the Florida quarterback, so it's DJ Lagway's show moving on. Tennessee linebacker Keenan Peely, the BYU transfer, got hurt in that game as well. He's got a torn ACL. Josh Heupel has announced, and he is finished for the season. If you have not watched Tennessee's defense, who has played very, very well, this is their leading tackler, and they have now lost him for the season. So that is a massive loss in that Tennessee defense.
Really is. Damani Jackson, who made the interception at the end, had left the game and gone to the locker room at one point for Alabama. It was good to see him come back. And go ahead.
I don't know if they win the game without him.
Yeah, and then we discussed on Monday Morning Live that Jalen got banged up a little bit at one point. Didn't seem to be 100% the rest of the way for him in that contest as well. So can't wait to get a little update from Kalen DeBoer coming up at the top of the hour when we do overtime. But right now, it is time for Trash, brought to you by Mortgage Right. Before you hit the button, Tyler, what are we eating, man? What do you got?
I got a little Italian sub.
Where'd you get an Italian sub? You brought it with you?
I did.
Oh,
okay.
Thought we'd already sent out for lunch today.
Hold it up real quick. Stick it in the camera. Let's see what you got. The old Italian sub.
Camera.
Yeah.
Did you make this yourself, or did this come? No,
I did not.
I
got it with some provolone cheese, some spinach, black olives.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah. I like black olives.
I love black olives.
I do, too.
I'll snack on them sometimes.
I mean, I like greens. Sometimes they're a little too salty.
Yeah, but I would tell you, you used to be one of those guys, you made it no problem until after the show, and then you would go get lunch. But now you're experiencing what we experience all the time. 11 to 12, man, we get hungry in here. And watching you eat is not fair for us. But go ahead and hit the big button, okay?
Hey, your old man passed away, right?
Oh, wow.
No, not yet. Oh, I thought he did. I thought the judge was dead.
My brother died.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Hey, buying season. Our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Veteran founded here in Birmingham, offer loans throughout the country. While the area they serve may have grown, their commitment to Birmingham and veterans has not changed. Before you take the next steps on a new home purchase or refi, talk with the team at Mortgage Right. No cost or obligation to find out what you qualify for. You can get more information. Go to their website, mortgageright.com, or you can call 205-900-7200, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
I still go back. It's been 2 years now. It's been 3 years now since that incident happened. And I was overjoyed that the judge had not died, but then I was equally saddened that the brother had died. But my emotions were torn that it was such a funny moment that I felt bad about laughing that the brother had died.
In hindsight, Lance is seeming dismissal of the brother's death is my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But we're laughing in the background.
Oh, I know. I'm well aware. Yeah.
It was my brother that died.
Not the judge.
Probably would have been a lot different if it wasn't Ian.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So do you guys ever go to the Spirit Halloween locations?
Sometimes the Brown Bandit needs some things, and when things are going well, which he's 2-0 in October, by the way, sometimes Spirit Halloween is a great place to shop
People
for that.
love those joints.
Yeah. Now that I'm no longer in the money, I need to go out there and get some spoof things too, because I got a cover this week. Not an outright win, but I just sneaked 5 points.
I tell you what, my youngest daughter loves going in there and just looking at the costumes.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a fun story.
Select Spirit Halloween locations will be sticking around a bit longer after being transformed into Spirit Christmas.
Oh, I like this. Smart business idea.
Spirit Halloween, inviting customers to, quote, visit us this fall for a unique holiday shopping experience per its official website. You wonder if there was any slumlords that were like, hey, we'll give you through December 31st. I think it would be a good business model if you guys did it
That's
like
right,
this.
right. Just stick around through November.
Now, the website has named 10 stores that will undergo the transformation from horror to holiday cheer. In a statement to People magazine, a Spirit Halloween spokesperson said each location, quote, offers a unique shopping experience brimming with a vast assortment of holiday decor, apparel, inflatables, gifts, and stocking stuffers.
You know what they'll make a fortune on?
Yeah, I'm about to say the same thing.
The ugly sweaters, right? Ugly Christmas sweaters. No, because a lot of people have an ugly sweater party, and where do you find them? You'll find them at Spirit Christmas.
That's better than mine. I was going to say we don't go to malls anymore.
That's right.
And I can see right there, free digital postcard with Santa. Skip the line and book your spot right now. That's the place you take the kids to see Santa.
That's smart. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, they're only doing this in select stores in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. I bet it will be a smashing success, and they'll probably take it nationwide.
We should jump the line on that since it's not in Alabama, and we should have a Santa somewhere for people to come see as a next round promotion. You can come take your pictures with Santa.
I've got a former coworker of ours. My wife showed me a photo of him that was on Instagram, and I think he might be going to be a mall Santa this fall.
Yeah,
or this Christmas.
Just think of the promotion.
I'll
for
show
us.
you the photo. I mean, that's the only thing I can figure.
We get a great sponsor. Get a great sponsor. Have people come by, and we have a Santa out there. Brown's already joked off the air today with Forrester that I need a tummy tuck. I guess I could play.
I did not say that.
Yeah, I know you would never say the word tummy.
Yeah, I didn't say that
because we were going to Dr. B.
I said you're going to perform a tummy tuck. It was a joke. Yeah. I didn't say you needed one.
That's not what I heard.
I know it's not what you heard.
So I could be the Santa for the group, and
I mean, if we had to have a Santa, we probably would lean your way.
It's got to be the older fat guy, right?
I mean, can you grow a beard?
Yep.
Is it going to be a fake beard?
A woman has been charged with domestic violence after allegedly attacking her husband upon seeing a female on television who reminded her of her husband's former fling.
Well, that's not fair.
On October 5th, the Coral Springs Police Department responded to a domestic violence call. According to the caller, a verbal argument between a husband and the wife over an alleged infidelity had escalated into the physical altercation. As I was reading this story earlier, Tyler, I was just hoping to hear who the actress was. Is it anywhere in the story?
They never said, so I'm thinking it was just somebody who popped up on a show.
Like Kathy Bates, based on this picture.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who this lady's husband was dating that is an actress, looks like an actress, but it's going to have to be somebody low end, is what we would like to say.
This is Betsy Buttericks, 45 years old, watching television with her husband when she reportedly became irate after seeing a woman on the screen referencing his previous affair with a woman. Records of the conversation provided by the victim alleged that she began yelling, "Why did you F her?" which led to a heated argument between the two. The victim stated that that's when she demanded that he leave the residence. While he was packing his belongings, she allegedly began throwing various items at him, then started scratching and biting him on several parts of his body, including his back, upper and lower arms, and neck.
Biting him?
Yeah, very aggressive.
Do you think her bite, I mean, you would want to have it looked at, right?
Oh,
you wouldn't just throw a Band-Aid on it and let it heal.
No. I would need a tetanus.
Get your shots.
Yeah, I would get a tetanus for sure.
Yeah, no
it looks
doubt.
like she's been bitten by a couple of things on that right cheek there.
Yeah, I mean, it could have gotten physical after she, said what she said.
So people love their Diet Coke, including Ryan Brown.
That's right.
Indeed, yeah.
I love Diet Coke.
World famous singer, songwriter, actress Dua Lipa, latest celeb to mix it up a little bit here. There's Dua.
I was asked about this over the weekend. I don't know what's going on
So
here.
as illustrated,
I hate the mixture.
By a clip shared on X, singer-songwriter used the soda as a base for an unlikely but intriguing drink that has a lot of people talking. In the video, Dua Lipa is seen pouring pickle and jalapeno juices into a large cup filled with Diet Coke. Now, the curious concoction, garnished with a few pickles, jalapenos for good measure, before being lightly shaken. Gordon Ramsay, famous for his brutal honesty and ability to roast just about anyone about anything. He posted his own TikTok, visibly bracing himself for what he was about to endure. Quote, I had to try what Dua Lipa was cooking up. Almost immediately after taking a gulp of the drink, Ramsay spat out the liquid and explained, Dua Lipa, for God's sake, girl, you'll ruin your vocal cords.
Yeah. I don't understand
A
this.
lot of jalapeno.
It's very popular now to take the sodas and mix them with milk and cream and that kind of stuff. I just like it the way they.
Me too.
If they want to make one with cream, they'll make one with cream. They've given us an Oreo flavor. I'll just sit back and let Coke tell me.
I grew up down the street from a couple of brothers, and they mixed Coke and milk all the time.
Yeah, it's a Midwestern thing. That's very popular and is spreading all over to, as Brown calls them, the youngs.
You want? I just want the Diet Coke the way God made it, don't you, Jimmy?
I do too.
I don't see any need to change anything. It is perfect the way it is.
Yeah. By the way, Dua Lipa, while you're on her, SEC Power Dua Lipa. At her concert this week in Austin, you know what she does?
Oh, she put on a Texas jersey.
It's never looked better, Brown.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's never looked better.
If I told you guys, when I went to take the kids to Taylor Swift years ago, I think it was 18 or 19,
right?
Camilla Cabello opened up, and she had her little Julio Jones jersey on.
Look at this right here. SEC.
Yeah, she's a 5-star.
Yeah. What she's got Lipa on the back of this, by the way. She's about to show us. Got to stay around for this.
Yep.
There you go.
I see that.
Sorry to interrupt, Trash.
If I was the deputy, I'd make a run at that. Get her in lockup for a night.
I don't need backup.
Hey, the High Court has ruled that using the word bald against a man could be considered sexual harassment, which has caused some disbelief among some social media users. Now, it follows a lengthy legal case being brought by electrician Tony Finn, who claimed he had been sexually harassed by his boss during a heated argument back in 2019. I think we actually had this in Trash. Now, Mr. Finn, 64, made the claim against the British Bung Company, where he worked as an electrician for 24 years before he was fired in 2021. He said he was the victim of sexual harassment after comments were made about his baldness, including being called a stupid, bald, see you next Tuesday by his supervisor during an argument. Boy, they throw that word around over the pond a lot.
Yeah, it's a big word over there that we do not use here in the English language very much.
Now, the 3-person employment tribunal panel said the remark, quote, crossed a line and dismissed an argument that the comment was not sexist because women can be bald too. You don't see a lot of bald women, though.
You don't. It happens. It happens. Yeah. So bald. So the takeaway from this story is bald is now something that's taboo to call somebody.
The judgment said there was a, quote, connection between the word bald and the protected characteristic of sex, noting that it's much more prevalent in men than women. The debate over the ruling was discussed online after BBC Radio posted it on their X account regarding the ruling. They went on to say the High Court's ruled that banner about being bald is sex-related harassment. Around 6.5 million UK men experience baldness. How has it affected you?
I would say, though, Brownie, that anything you're saying that is intended, whether it's bald, overweight, whatever it is, you're intending to degrade somebody, can become a hurtful word. You can talk too much, or you're blonde. I mean, whatever it is, if you're doing it with an intent to hurt somebody's feelings, it's not common in the workplace. You shouldn't do it.
Well, yeah, I would say, though, that the slippery slope you're on is I can now say anything you say to me was intended as harmful, right? That hurt my feelings.
Yeah, that's what's so bad is how sensitive we are. I think the funny thing about the story is he didn't say anything about see you next Tuesday.
No, it was the
bald part.
That's what bothered me
what gets you beat in our society, in our workplace in America?
Yeah.
If you call somebody a see you next Tuesday, you're out, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
I can say, Dunaway, man, you're bald.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me, though, that as a plumber, You said sexual harassment. I thought somebody was running up, sticking something down the back of his pants because I thought he was showing butt crack. You know what I mean? Yes. I thought he was bent over doing something like all the plumbers. You were seeing the crack, and somebody was going to suck a plunger down there or something.
You remember, or a wrench. The Seinfeld where George got the toupee, and all of a sudden he had this newfound confidence, and Elaine threw it out the window. Yep. And in that one scene, she goes, "You're bald." He goes, "I was bald."
Hey, if you're looking for a new home, our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned home buying veteran, their great service and low rates make the process easy. So remember, whether you're looking for your final home or first home, whether you have a big down payment or need 100% financing, Mortgage Right, one-stop shop for mortgages, 205-900-7200 or mortgageright.com.
Okay, I haven't given you guys a chance yet to talk about Kirby Smart in that situation. Joel Klatt had interesting comments about Kirby Smart bumping in, pushing, trying to move the Mississippi State quarterback out of the way. What did you guys think of that?
I don't think there was an intent. I don't think Kirby was going after the quarterback. I mean, I think if you watch the video, it
didn't even look like he was looking at him.
Yeah, it's abundantly clear he's looking at Glenn Schumann. Now, why he's so fired up with Schumann, he said he was trying to get an adjustment in. And I think Kirby probably thought it was one of his own players that was in the way, and he was pushing him out of the way. I don't think there was any intent. Now, Klatt made the point that reverse it. If a player is running along the sidelines and Kirby Smart steps out and he pushes Kirby Smart aside like that, what happens? You think it's a flag?
I do.
Probably.
So then
I think the bigger deal was Max Crosby pushing an assistant yesterday coming off the sideline for the Raiders.
That's his own assistant, though. That's the difference.
I mean, that is
right?
full extension.
No, I agree.
He said it was a love push.
Yeah, it was
back to Kirby Smart. Most of our audience really, Alabama fans and SEC fans want to talk Kirby Smart. What do you think of it?
I mean, I thought it was heat of the moment. I agree with Klatt. He could have diffused the situation a lot quicker. But I don't think there was any malice at all.
I mean, I think it needs. And Kirby has said something else today. I haven't taken time to read it yet because we've in show here.
It wasn't an apology?
I don't know. That's what I told you. I haven't taken. If you want me to go read it, I'll go read it.
Well,
but
go read it while
right.
Tell us about Gray's Tree Services. They'll take care of your dead wood. They'll get all the dead wood out of your tree, out of your yard, but also they'll take care of some trees that you don't want up there anymore because they can become dangerous.
Yeah, family owned and operated for over 25 years right here in Birmingham. Experts in high-risk tree removals, pruning, soil health treatment to strengthen your trees and plants. Call them today, 205-281-6100. I used Gray's a few months ago. They do outstanding work. You can scan that QR code or just visit graystree.com.
We will have Kalen DeBoer coming up at the top of the hour. In overtime today, and we'll get you ready for Auburn and Missouri as well. Then Lance Taylor rolls in with Unlocked with Brock Heward at 1 o'clock, so set your alerts for that. Busy college show, so let's spend the final 7 minutes we have here about the NFL. You guys talked briefly about Detroit just annihilating the Dallas Cowboys on Jerry Jones's 82nd birthday. Aiden Hutchinson out for 6 to 8 weeks, and that 47-9 win by the Lions. So elsewhere, in football, you had Baltimore beating Washington in the Beltway game where Lamar threw for 323. Derrick Henry had a couple of more touchdowns. Baltimore all of a sudden has won 4 straight after starting 0-2.
Yeah, you make an argument Baltimore best team in football. Look, and they got up 14 in that game, but the Commanders are proving they belong. I mean, when they go on the road, and it wasn't like they were sneaking up on anybody coming in at 4-1, and to make that a one-possession game, I give that Commanders team a lot of credit. Jaden Daniels is going to be an absolute star. The touchdown to McLaurin in the back of the end zone was just a dart. But I do think the Ravens might be the best team in football right now.
This is a kind of a narrow stat because you don't see a quarterback running back duo like this very often. But I saw yesterday that Derrick Henry and Lamar, the best combo running back quarterback rushing total in the history of the NFL so far.
Well, when you think about it, now Henry's got a touchdown in 6 consecutive games. I don't know if there's ever been because Lamar is the best to ever do it. Like Vic, in today's NFL would be different than Vic in the old NFL, but Vic didn't have a running back close to what he's got with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's a Hall of Fame running back. You've got a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think that's probably the best combination of running quarterback, back we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a record in the NFL right now.
Caleb Williams 4 touchdowns in the London game as they beat a bad Jacksonville team 35-16. It looks like there's a chance Caleb Williams and them will be playing meaningful games late in the year to try to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you start to look at this NFC North, and there's not a weak team in it.
Yeah, because the Packers got Jordan Love back. They handled Arizona no problem.
And Jordan Love struggled last week against the Rams. And Jordan Love yesterday was incredible against Arizona. And if he starts playing like he did in the second half of the season, Minnesota doesn't seem like they're going anywhere.
The Lions' offense is red hot.
Hutchinson, that's a big loss for the Lions, but they're not going anywhere. And, Chicago might just not have the benefit of playing in such a difficult division.
Yeah.
But to sit at 4-2 right now, and Caleb Williams is getting better. And the biggest reason this offense is working is DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is playing really good football right now.
Yeah, when you look at Drake May started for New England, great uniforms, logo on the field. Why they don't stick with it, I don't know in New England. But the Texans dominate that game, but they've switched to Drake May now. What did you guys think of Drake's play?
Not good. But I don't know if there's really an option right now in New England.
I mean, they're the worst team in the NFL, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's almost like you play Drake May if you're Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, just lose young.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
look, he turned it over. There were some flashes. I mean, he did have 3 touchdowns against pretty good Texans defense, but he turned it over on first or second drive, multiple turnovers in that game. He's going to learn on the fly, and he just doesn't have a lot of talent around him.
Tampa Bay scored the first 17 points and the last 27 points of the game and beat New Orleans 51-27. That team's now 4-2 in that division. New Orleans is 2-4. There's the Falcons that's out there that beat Tampa Bay, and they will play again in a couple of weeks. What do you think of the Buccaneers? Their staying power.
Well, I mean, if Baker Mayfield got them in a little bit of trouble, special teams weren't good yesterday, and Mayfield did have the 3 turnovers. But I love what they're doing offensively with Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
Out of Syracuse and Oregon, respectively, those guys, the 1-2 punch, opening things up for Godwin. You've still got Mike Evans. So as long as Baker Mayfield's good, this offense is going to be pretty good.
Tucker, not a guy that gets those kind of carries, was in there because Rondell White was out, and he got out there and showed up. Steelers win again. I mean, should we just shut down Justin Fields and Russell Wilson? I mean, Justin, this is his
He's
team.
the better quarterback, yeah. I mean, I think Justin Fields handles this team better. He's not great, but they've got a good enough defense. They've got a good enough run game with Najee Harris. They've got good enough weapons with the guys like Freiermuth that Fields can just kind of manage the game, Lance, and it's just Pittsburgh Steeler football. It ain't pretty, but
Man,
it's
I don't know how much of that game you guys watched.
A little bit.
It was
like a Steelers home game.
Well, it's like it was definitely that, but the Raiders had so many times they shot themselves in the foot. I mean, it was crazy. Like, I thought Amir Abdullah.
As having Aiden O'Connell as your quarterback usually does.
Yeah, but that was a crazy scenario with Abdullah. He almost scored and then fumbled.
Yeah, and I thought he had scored.
I did too.
And then the very next play from literally like 2 inches out, he fumbles, and they turn the football over. What would have been a situation where I think they would have been down 3 at that point. But back to the original question with Fields. Fields gives you the best opportunity to win. There was a second or third and goal from like the 5 or 6 where he did it all with his legs. So you've got that angle. The problem with Pittsburgh is you don't really have any playmakers offensively. Najee Harris had a good game yesterday. You can't consistently trust George Pickens.
Oh, exactly. He's on a pitch count.
Yeah.
59% of the snaps.
The Najee Harris touchdown was close, too. That one where he reaches the ball out, it barely touched the line.
So let me ask you guys this, and I don't know if you saw it, Dunaway. So the ball, he jumps, the ball hits the ground first. They said it broke the plane. It looked like it was a little short. I know the ground can't cause a fumble, but if nothing else is touching and it's ball down first.
Once the ball breaks the plane, play is dead.
Yeah, no, I know that, but I'm saying if it would have been an inch short, but ball hits first and he fumbles.
So if his knees, elbows, nothing's down,
it's a full
it's
leap.
a fumble at that.
Yeah, fumbles and it goes out the end zone and Vegas gets it.
I thought it was short.
It was so close. Yeah.
Give me 30 seconds on Bills Jets tonight, 7:15, ABC and ESPN tonight. LT.
Look, Jets obviously new regime starting with Robert Saleh out. They're 2-3 though. Bills 3-2. Bills not playing the football they played when they were 3-0. But this is make or break. I think the Jets season is on the line with this one.
Yeah, so if they can survive this game, then they got to go handle the Watts pass rush of the Steelers next week. It's a tough 2 games here for the Jets.
But I do think the Jets believe that they can bottle up the Steelers offense and they can win it with defense. Tonight, with what you've got with Josh Allen, is going to be a major test. And I want to see Aaron Rodgers play good football tonight.
Real quick, Kirby Smart said he spoke with Jeff Lebby and Mike Van Buren personally. Both of them were fine with everything, so I guess you can put this one to bed. He said he did not realize how bad it was till he went back and watched the film and realized what he had done.
Okay, so that's sort of an
apology.
apology.
I mean, I'm not saying he didn't say I'm sorry, but he spoke to both the coach and the quarterback. I don't know what more you would ask for.
I like Kirby, so I take him at his word that he wasn't doing anything intentional. And you look at it, he's trying to look past him.
Yeah,
he's not saying anything to him. He's trying to get him out of the way. I really believe Gray Britches, I believe he thought it was one of his players.
I 100% think that was the case,
I thought it was one of his players trying to get the guy out of the way. All right, Kalen DeBoer is coming up in our overtime in our next segment. This hour brought to you by Champy's. Thank you to Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America. All right, overtime starts now with our friends at Roback, roback.com. Brown, promo code TNR20 gets you a lot of fun stuff. Not only great golf gear in the spring and the summer, but we're getting to hoodie and pants time, and they're good there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love their hoodies, man. They are so soft. They fit great. They wear great. And you could save on all the team gear, the hoodies, and all of that. Roback.com, code TNR20. Get you 20% off your initial order. Code TNR20 at roback.com.
Yeah, so Kalen DeBoer will step up to the microphone. He's not there yet, though, is he, Tyler? He is?
It looks like he's about to step onto the stage.
Okay, well, let's. Do you think he's stepping on right now, or?
I don't know. Sometimes there's a little bit of a transition period between the coaches.
Well, when he walks up, I'm looking at a live picture, right? Is this a live picture? I'm looking at?
That's what you were getting to.
Okay,
right?
That's what I'm trying to do. So that's live, right? You will not touch any more buttons. There he is. Let's say Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa.
Yep, you bet. Good morning, and just rolling from South Carolina to Tennessee. Guys start the week, as we always do with Sunday, and just, bringing a good mindset, putting the work into the workouts, wanting to, continue to always learn and get better from the things that happen on a Saturday, and a lot of highlights, obviously a lot of things that we always got to continue to clean up, and it's in all phases of the game. But moving to Tennessee, we know we're really looking forward to, exciting. Obviously, this game is a big deal to to fans and obviously to us, and we understand that's the case for them as well. So looking forward to a really high level, heightened week with preparation and a big game on Saturday.
Thank you, Coach. Let's start with Nick, front right.
Yeah, following up about Tennessee, what have you been told about this rivalry, or what have you seen from it, maybe from afar?
Yeah, I've been told it's a big deal, and I know it's a big deal. You see it from afar, and it's these are the games, much like we've had already won a couple here. Just they're the big ones that are on the schedule. As a coach, they're all big, right, in different ways, and you take one at a time. But we certainly understand the significance of the rivalry, and guys are going to be very motivated to go out and do their best and prepare well and be great on Saturday.
Charlie?
Just sitting at the midway point in the regular season, how would you assess the defense's play from an execution standpoint?
Yeah, I think there's every week something a little different that presents itself. I know the last couple of weeks, the big thing that's been focused on has been getting off the field. And so, you look at yards per play, and we're making some teams earn it, but we just got to get off the field. And when those drives continue to stack on top of each other and there's more plays that your defense is having to play, it starts to wear you down and a little bit more. I think our guys, fortunately we rotate enough in to where we can hang in there for 4 quarters. But, there's always going to be little elements, and it's not just defense, but it's offense and areas that, are going to pop up, and the way people attack and the way someone may view your schemes or your personnel. And so, you continue to work on those things that we know we got to get better at and emphasize, but we also got to be ready for those other things too that just are part of the game, and making sure we got the answers, whether it's schematics or just that our guys are confident going out there and playing. This is part of the process. This is part of the progress that's got to be there when you're instituting new systems. I was thinking, I saw this it must have been South Florida week, and I was sitting there watching last year's game, and I've had this happen everywhere I've been, but you look at a play call, all right, and I happened to watch the South Florida game of us versus them last year, and the play calls from last year are on that play, and those play calls have the same names, right? It's just called something different. But there might be play calls that are called something a year ago that are something completely opposite or different in your system. And that's just something that's just part of the progress is guys processing. You're throwing something new at our guys to add to our schemes, to add to our concepts and the depth of what we do each and every week. And then they also have to do what we're doing and execute well against whatever we're seeing in front of us. And you try to find that fine balance on running what is your identity, what is your DNA of the systems you run, but also continue to build on those maybe families of what you do well, or continue to just grow, your entire offense, defense, special teams. So this is just part of it. Been through it many times. A lot of the ups and downs that you have, or maybe just execution didn't go as well as you want. Sometimes that's not the base stuff you do, but it's just the things that you have to continue to incorporate to continue to get to where you want to be, because it's got to be a volume of things over the course of a 12, 13, 14, or whatever the season is, and the length of it.
Go Chase, left side.
Coach Womack was asked this a minute ago, but I want to ask you as well. The shovel pass has hurt y'all defensively. Obviously, the last couple of games, South Carolina came back with 1 after Vanderbilt sprung 2. Just from a game planning standpoint, is that something you got to expect to see once a week until you get it stopped?
No question. I mean, and it's going to get thrown at you different ways. The personnel or the formations that people line up in, you're going to try to find, from an offensive standpoint, putting those, shoes on and just trying to, understand what that's going to look like in their scheme. And so it's going to be presented a different way. It's 15, 20 years ago, I was running that quite a bit myself. It's because it's a play that, you have to defend. And, again, it might be presentation off of a boot. It might be presentation a sprint out option. But you got to identify where everyone's at. Everyone's got to fit their gaps. Apply your rules is really the significance of it. And, people are going to use different things to try to really challenge your eye discipline as a defense. And that's one of the plays that obviously the last 2 weeks has been utilized in that way to challenge us in that regard.
Got a few questions from the back of the room. Ryan?
Coach, college football is based on a lot of traditions, a lot of games. To piggyback off what Nick asked you, what did you hear about this Tennessee game? And kind of a two-parter, are you a fan of cigars?
I know that this tradition goes back quite a ways. I know that cigars are a part of it. But I know that what I'm trying to do is just make sure we do our part as a football program and, prepare so that people can celebrate and enjoy the rivalry on our end. And a lot of respect for Tennessee, their coaches, their players. But, we're just pouring into the things we can control, what we can focus, and, want to bring that joy to, not just the hard work we put in personally and within this team, but also so our fan base can enjoy it as well.
Jonathan.
Hey, Coach, I believe just a few targets to Ryan Williams in the first 3 quarters of the game. As you guys go through conference play, how do you balance trying to get him the ball and also versus what the defense is maybe giving you?
Yeah, there's a couple more that, we didn't get where it didn't get to him or get completed. Ones where we were really trying to be intentional, whether it's a screen or just a matchup one-on-one. There's another 1 or 2 where the ball in a progression very well could have got to him, just like the other plays that he's had throughout the season where he might not be the number 1 option, but the progression will a lot of times take you there. He's got to be a guy that we're always really paying attention to as far as the number of targets. And, I think for the most part, we understand who those guys are. And a lot of them are in the starting lineup and maybe just the next guys in, that you have to be really make sure in the game plan that they're involved. And so that will always be the case. We got to continue to emphasize that, something we always look at each and every week as we lay out the whole plan.
From the tape, what kind of challenges does Tennessee's quarterback present your defense this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's got he's a live arm, extremely talented. You can tell that they got the skill on the outside to where, they can hit the home run and make big plays anytime. I think a lot of it is just trying to disrupt him to where the continuity and the flow, is just not consistent. And that's going to be any quarterback every week. That's the goal, is to try to just really cause some chaos and change things up on them. They get into their tempo off of positive plays. And that's the key, is try to make sure that they don't get into that rhythm. Just like any offense, that's what you're trying to do. And he's talented. You can see it's there. He's still, I think, growing and developing. And we just got to make sure we disrupt him enough and make sure we're showing pictures and also getting bodies on the outside to where we make life hard like we would want to any other opponent.
Back on the left side of the room, Katie.
After Jalen threw that interception at the beginning of the fourth quarter, what did you see from him to kind of bounce back and put the mistakes behind him for the rest of the fourth quarter? And just, is that an area he's kind of matured in?
Yeah, and I'm really intentional with him because I know how hard he is on himself. And, this is really going back to, I wasn't with him last year, but I know in spring ball and just how he was, and knowing that we are, fighting for each other, fighting with each other. That's just not me and him. That's our football team. When we're in those moments, it's all about moving forward. No regrets when we walk off this football field, knowing we've given everything we've got, and that's just what I try to do when it comes to those times. Not just with him, with our whole team. And those tight game moments. We're all in this together, and we want to continue to learn. And so I'm going to remind him, coach him up on the situations we're in, how to apply the things we've talked about, throughout the course of our time together so far, how to learn what's happened in this game, and then just continue to move on. And we just keep stacking these moments on top of these moments. He'll remember, anything that happened this game. He's going to remember what happened to him 4 weeks ago, and that's what I love about him. I mean, he is up here, he lives up here pretty much, wanting to be around the coaches. It's not just me, it's other staff members. And, just from my standpoint, to answer your question, I think, it's just a matter of continue to move forward, process, go 1-0, as you've heard many of our players say, and what that all means. Learn from it, flush it, play in the present, next play mindset.
Alex.
You had a pure feature back with Dylan Johnson at Washington, but here it's obviously a little bit different with Jam and Justice, and obviously Jalen Milroe getting the football. With Jam and Justice, I think they're averaging 15 carries per game between the two of them. Is that kind of the number that you'd like to see? And does that limit them? Maybe that's the wrong word. Does it limit them in terms of the role they're able to get on as a running back when they're not fed consistently?
Yeah, I think you want to have two. We were kind of more forced, as you referred to, Dylan, a year ago, to have that with some injuries to other guys. At that number, I think we would love to see that be higher. Now, how come that number is lower? I think it gets taken from, some of J Mills' carries, which, how can you argue with some of that when you're rattling off the runs he's had? There's that fine line on using him and keeping him fresh and using these other guys. I thought Jam and Justice ran very hard. I thought the run game in the Georgia game, I thought we were very close to having some runs that really developed. And I thought there was another level of physicality by our offensive line and an execution that was just not just in practice, but also in the game this close. I thought that would really take the next step in the Vanderbilt game. Felt good about the week of practice. Because of the flow of the game, again, probably not as many carries as in touches, but you can see there was an intentionality to what we were doing. And it wasn't just maybe in the run game. It's getting them out and doing different things with them. We've seen, touchdown catches and balls out on routes to both of them. They are very critical to our offense. They're extremely athletic. They can do it all. They're, every down backs in their own right. And we need to continue to grow. And I think we took another step this week. I think South Carolina had a very strong defensive front, not just up front, but tying the linebacker core and how they fit. And, that was going to be a challenge going in, and I thought we took another step in our physicality and our execution. Thought those guys ran hard as well.
Go to Emily Grace, right up the middle here.
Coach, what's the in-game adjustment process like between you and Coach Womack?
Yeah, I think the key in any game plan is to try to have really almost everything you have in the plan as far as your adjustments. Now, when you're on defense, I think there are some things that will pop up that you haven't seen on film, that you got to refer back to something that you've done with calls in the past, and you try to really minimize that as much, because the things you practice are the things the guys are comfortable with, especially week 5, 6, still as a new team with a new defensive scheme. And so, we don't have a lot of these banked reps from a year ago with all our guys, or even 10 or 11 games worth. It's new things that pop up, and we try to make the simplest adjustments to where our guys can still play fast. Down the road, this will all continue to bank as far as the reps we have, the experiences we have. We can recall on something that we did as an adjustment in the past, hopefully in the future, and execute quicker and better in the games ahead. But as far as the process between he and I, we're just constantly between series, talking on the phones real quick, just like I do with the offensive side, just hearing what the next move is, or for offense would be hey, what are you thinking the next drive? What's the starter? What's your next third and medium, third and short, third and long? And then also defensively, what are some of those adjustments maybe in those situations, or how we think they're going to come out based on the flow of the situation in the game.
All right, let's finish up with Tony here.
Is it easier or harder to scout a team when it's struggling? Because you're going to get maybe some changes from them, but at the same time, maybe you're seeing their weaknesses. What is it? Does it?
Are you referring to obviously? What are you? Any opponent? Yeah. Okay. Well, that they're going through it, and I'm speaking really generally right now because that's the question. So, that they're going to continue to try to find the things that really work well for them, and you got to be ready for anything and everything. But I think at this point in the year, there's still going to be some type of basis that you work off of, and those added things. They got to execute them well too, and that's where we're at. We got things that we want to add in and continue to do, but we got to get enough reps at them in practice on top of the things that we already a part of our identity. Because if you can't execute it well in an SEC game when things are moving that fast and there's that many good players on the football field, that can backfire, that can hurt you. And so the key is making sure we do what we do, apply our rules and everything that we have, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, and then be disciplined with it. And that's, going to be the name of the game here, this week, every week, moving forward.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
All right, that is Kalen DeBoer there with his news conference brought to you by our friends at Roback, roback.com. We'll get Hugh Freeze in a second. Tell us about Roback, and then we'll do some TV times, roback.com.
Yeah, code next round is where you use the promo code there when you go to roback.com. Get great gear. The hoodies are phenomenal. Love the quarter zips. You guys know I love wearing the quarter zip. Me and Dunaway play a lot of golf. Those golf shirts are terrific as well, the polos. All right there at roback.com. Code TNR20 for 20% off your first order when you use code TNR20 at roback.com.
TV time's coming up. Alabama, Missouri. Auburn's Missouri this week. Alabama's got Tennessee. So I would imagine we're into a situation where let's see some results this week before we put our TV times in stone.
I'll give you the set times. The rest of them are going to be a bit confusing. Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Oxford is an 11 a.m. ESPN or ABC game.
Yeah.
It's at 11. It's either ESPN or ABC. Arkansas at Mississippi State's going to be your early SEC Network game, 11:45. Your late SEC Network game, primetime SEC Network, is Auburn at Kentucky, 6:45. Now, these three games are still up in the air.
Tom Hart, Cole, and Jordan go to Kentucky a lot.
If they do that, because all these are optional middle of the day SEC Network, and these are all bigger games than Auburn at Kentucky. Texas at Vanderbilt is either 2:30 ABC or 3:15 SEC Network. LSU at Texas A&M is either 2:30 ABC, 3:15 SEC Network, or 6:30 ABC. And Missouri at Alabama is the same as that. They're either 2:30 ABC, 3:15 SEC Network, or 6:30 ABC. So you've got a lot of wait and see what happens in Knoxville, wait and see what happens in Austin, and then there's LSU and Texas A&M who are waiting to see what happens in Knoxville and Austin. So those are your TV times.
Boy, and can you imagine Texas beating Georgia and then going to Nashville and suffering the same fate that Alabama had?
It's not going to blow me away. Not this year, man. It's not going to blow me away this year, I can tell you.
Okay, Auburn coming off a no-game week, preparing for a trip to Missouri this week. Hugh Freeze had a chance to talk to the media just a few moments ago. So let's listen in to the Auburn coach. Don't forget, right when we're done with Hugh Freeze, shortly after that at 1 o'clock Central Time, we'll have Lance Taylor with Brock Heward with Unlocked later today. You can get our conversations with Brandon Marcello on the Middle 8 and Tom Luganbill on Monday Morning Live, wherever you're watching us or listening to us right now. But this time, it's time to head to the Plains. Let's listen to Hugh Freeze.
Good morning to you. It's excited to get back into a game week. We had a much-needed off week last week, which was good for our physical bodies and our mental side. Obviously, disappointing to be sitting where we are record-wise, and determined that we must play more consistent football in all three phases, and we've got to coach that better. And we spent a lot of time last week looking at what we think needs to be done in order for us to do that, because we've got obviously a very difficult schedule ahead. 2 games on the road at 2 really teams that are playing really, really good football, and it starts at Missouri this week, and they've won 7 straight home games, and I think Eli does. I know everybody has their rankings of coaches, and it's based on. And to me, the better talent you have, the better coach you are for sure. And to me, some of the better coaching jobs are done with those lesser rosters in recruiting. And I think you look at people like Eli and Stoops, and head Clark Lee now too, that I think are doing incredible jobs at their respective programs. With the kids that they've had, and they've had some time to develop their culture and get their players in. But Eli's, I think he does one of the better jobs in the country in all aspects in managing the new world that we're facing. And he's obviously one of my closest friends in the business. And it used to be Gus when he was in the conference, and now it's kind of Eli and Kirby are who I probably talk to the most. Eli for sure. I have great respect for him and who he is and how he does things, and it's going to be a tall task for us there to go and compete with a really, really good Missouri team. They're the best. They're the best skill players we've faced yet, and their quarterback's playing at a really high level also.
Hey, Hugh, as far as the players go, what was your area of emphasis during the off week? What did you kind of push in practice?
We had 2 practices. Obviously, we were on fall break, and we lifted and conditioned on Monday, and then had a Tuesday and Wednesday practice. I thought the Tuesday one they attacked extremely well, and Wednesday was energetic, as you can imagine, with them knowing they had fall break on Thursday and Friday. So it really fell at a good time for us. I thought their energy was great. The emphasis was on us. Here are the things we've got to get better on these short distances and critical downs on both sides, and red zone, and really what is our bread and butter, and let's try to make it look maybe different ways, but we probably don't need more. Let's do less and keep doing it better. So had 2 really good days, truthfully, for an open week. I think having fall break really helped it, because I think everybody needed a little break, coaches, players, and obviously we did some recruiting also. But it was a good open week.
You mentioned after the game that you wanted to have a physical off week and you wanted to find out what players were willing to give 60 minutes in a game. Do you feel like you accomplished that?
Yeah, we were really physical on Wednesday. Tuesday, not so much. I backed off that a little bit. Wednesday, we were really physical, but knew we could be with the 2 days off of school. You know, I'm really pleased with most of the team and their response to the disappointment. And you know, of course, we work hard at teaching, you know, the qualities that we think this sport can develop in life. And I worked hard on that. And last week and this week, yesterday, we changed it up a little bit. We came in yesterday, so they're off today as far as practice. But man, what will you be known for and how you finish anything, I think, is of great value in life and will set them up to have success long after they get through playing here if handled properly. And I'm pleased with the response at this point.
Hugh, how valuable was the off week in terms of self-scout, going back to look at everything? And then I guess what did that show you of the offense and then I guess quarterback execution with Peyton and those guys?
Self-scout, honestly, is about as good as it's ever been on the balance, on the unpredictability of formations, and it's pretty good. Obviously, our quarterbacks have I think Peyton's played well at times, and you know, we've struggled at times, so it's there for everybody to see. But I think as of late, he's played really consistent, and we're going to need that the next few weeks for sure to be able to compete with these teams we're going into play.
Coach, can you characterize your conversations with Peyton Thorne after some of maybe the confusion in the media about the statements after the game on that 4th and 1?
Yeah, I don't read the media, don't listen, don't have social media anymore. I'm very transparent and tell you exactly the truth of what happened. And Peyton thought he needed to change the alignment of the back to handle an edge guy, and I think some of that may have been based on him asking an offensive lineman. And again, we've got to do a better job coaching. That shouldn't have happened. That wasn't part of the process. And if you go watch the film, if we leave our alignment like it's supposed to be and hand the ball off, Jarquez is running on a DB for an easy first down. So I understand his thinking there. They just unfolded a linebacker and on the backside, and so obviously we didn't coach it well enough for him to know he didn't have to do that.
You said you're pleased with the balance. Yeah, y'all have, I think I saw in the stats, had the fewest running plays in the conference. Is that a concern that you're not getting the ball enough to one of the best backs in the conference?
Yeah, I think we need to get it to him more. I don't know what is the average per rush. So I think we've got to, you know, that's the one that I care about. And, you know, but there's no question 27 needs to touch it more. That's the frustrating thing of some of our short yardage deals that have been called and not executed at a high enough level where he actually touches it, and that's we've got to get that corrected.
Hugh, you guys have played a lot of young guys, a lot of freshmen this season. How much does an off week, you think, really help those guys kind of reset or, you know, kind of look ahead, considering they've never been through this before?
Yeah, I think, I mean, heck, you know, we've been going since, you know, approximately 1st of August, and so that's a long time on everybody, even guys that have been doing it a while, in particular, you know, freshmen that are brand new, and they're having to, you know, go through the grind of school and ball and everything that comes with that. So I think it's, you know, coming after 6 games, that's about as good as you would want it to be. And now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's 3 games now and then another one and then the final 3. So I don't know that we could draw up, for a year that you have 2 open weeks, truthfully, them falling at better times. It split the season pretty good for us, it looks like, and I think the freshmen certainly benefited. Everybody was a little sore and beat up. We've had some physical games, and then the mental side of handling not being exactly where you had hoped to be, I think was good timing for that also.
The offensive line, too tall's been banged up some. Did this week give you a chance to maybe look at that group again, maybe just to see if you got the right moves, and what have you thought about their play through 6 games?
We're running the ball effectively, so we're doing some good things there. Pass pro's been dicey, not at every position, but it doesn't matter. We're a team, and so we've got to continue to improve that. We're looking at, D Wade's playing some of both tackles when Tall gets hurt, and that has to shuffle us around, and Joyner's jumping in at guard along with Tate some, and the game moved a little bit fast for a couple guys at Georgia with all their shifting and stuff, and it showed. And so we're looking at, because you can expect once people put on tape that something worked, because Georgia did a good job of studying our Oklahoma game, which I thought we did really good stuff in that game, and they were shifting right before the snap, and it gave us some problems with just our mental execution of what I should do on this pass pro or what I should do on this run play for a couple guys, and we practiced that, but it didn't show very well on film, and we've got to get that corrected for sure. And then another, no one's asked me, but Corey Batoon's the defensive coordinator at Missouri, and he's one of my guys and was with me, how many years? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, he's been with me 8 to 9 years on my staff, and we've talked a lot of ball. And so he's a heck of a guy and heck of a defensive coordinator, and doing a great job there for Eli. And so that presents its own challenges.
Coach, I just to go off of that, with Eli and then with Bethune there, you just talked a lot of ball with both of those guys. When you look at this Missouri team, a lot of people look at that Texas A&M game and have some statements about this group, but what are you looking at about this team, and what stands out to you about this Missouri team?
Yeah, I look at the consistency over, last year and most of this year. Obviously, things can happen when you go on the road in this conference, and a team gets the momentum and has the right game plan and the right call, and you get really Missouri had a chance to really stay in that game early and had like 3 penalties and calls that went horribly against them, and it kind of just snowballed, which you see that happen from time to time, but I don't make too much of that. I know what I see on film, and I know the consistency that they've been about almost every single game for the last 15 or so. They beat Ohio State in a bowl game and have many of those same kids back. And this is a top 20 team for sure, if not higher, and hadn't lost at home in a long time. They're a really quality football team.
You mentioned, you talked a lot last week about improving the execution being one of your focuses. How do you as a coaching staff, what are sort of the steps you can do during the bye week, I guess, sort of tangibly to work on that? Well,
the thing that's been good is having time. Like today, we have most of the game plan in because we obviously started last week. And so now are we really, really sure from everybody in this room that you feel really, really good about your kids executing this against all these different looks that we may or may not see on this given play, particularly on these critical down calls? And so just having the time to really, all right, let's go back and watch it again. Let's go back and watch it again for the third time this morning on 3 different deals. And so it will be really, and I don't know, again, you got to block and tackle, and you got to catch the football, and you got to make the right read at quarterback. But if we have a critical down, it will be very, 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 very disheartening and infuriating if another situation happens on a 4th and 1 or a 3rd and 1 where our kids don't have a clear understanding of what should happen. That would be quite infuriating.
Every coach everywhere talks about consistency, which in college football, where you got young guys and older guys and guys with so many things going on around them, how do you, as a program, more than this week, but as a program, how do you establish that kind of consistency that you need to be successful?
Well, it starts with us demanding it in practice, and that's become harder and harder to do in ways that we used to do. But I don't think you can get it unless you demand it consistently in practice. And then the second phase to that would be that your team demands it. So, one of the best teams are when you can take freshmen and say, hey, let's use DeMarcus Riddick or Jalen Crawford or Cam Coleman or Perry Thompson or Malcolm Simmons, any of them, and say, hey, guys, let me show you what this really is supposed to look like. Go watch these 5 guys. And that's when you get on to some consistency. All right, well, who are those 5 guys right now for them? And I think that's one of the things we're struggling with a little bit, is some of our best guys are younger guys that are trying to do it the right way. But you really, when you start having a team where you have those older guys where you say, go watch him and everything he does. And that's what consistency looks like. And that's where we're trying to get as a program, and that's where some like Missouri, I think they have those guys in the building right now, but they've had time. And we're going to have them too, and we've gotten better at that, but we still don't have enough that you say that's exactly what it's supposed to look like.
Hugh, you mentioned Missouri's skill talent. They've got 2 receivers this year, Burden and Weiss, that are towards the top of the SEC. You guys play a ton of young guys, especially at corner. Just talk a little bit about that matchup and getting those guys prepared for what you said would be one of the toughest matchups they're going to have all year.
Yeah, it's not one that you just get overjoyed about. I mean, truthfully, it's they've got veteran guys that have proven to be some of the best in this league, whether they're going against the top tier corners and safeties or not. And we're due to some injuries and then just to our youth, obviously it's going to be a great test for us. And we got to find a way to get them some help and eliminate the explosive plays, which is very difficult to do against them. But again, it's part of the growing process of where we are currently, and I'm sure our kids will be excited for the challenge.
Coach, there was a note earlier this week that Auburn leads the nation in snaps on defense by true freshmen. You've got a defensive coordinator that's given up only 400 yards one time this year to any team. Can you talk about the job that DJ Durkin is doing and what we could expect to see on defense here?
I couldn't be more pleased, truthfully, with the passion, the energy, the level of detail that I see from our defensive staff. I know that they're frustrated with, not performing well in certain critical downs and all of that, just like we all are. But as far as the buy-in from DJ's leadership, to Charles Kelly, to Von Trail and Josh and Crime and all the assistants on that side. I just couldn't be more pleased with what I see happening and what I think can be the future under their leadership. So really pleased with them.
Hugh, less than 2 months to go until signing day. How do you kind of feel about where the 25 class is at, and what's your message to these guys to stick with you as the season isn't going exactly as you want?
Yeah, that's why they want to come here. That's the reason they should want to come, is you're coming to a place that's proven it can play for national championships. It's one of only 6 that's done it in the last 13 years, on twice, played for it. And so it's proven it can. We've got the resources. Now let's get the roster that rivals, the ones who are playing for it. And if you want an opportunity to do that in an environment that fits you, come be a trendsetter and let's do something new and different. You can go to the places that are currently doing it, or you can help restore one that's proven it can also do it. And so I feel really good right now. Obviously, there's the battles for the guys we want are never over, and you've got to continue to fight for that. But I feel like we're in a pretty good position, hopefully, to finish strong with another top 5-ish class.
You talked about kind of short yardage and quarterback. How do you balance that? As Peyton has done a lot of good things at the line of scrimmage. How do you balance?
Yes.
How do you balance that freedom with also making sure that in certain spots, hey, we need to do this no matter what we're seeing?
Well, he just didn't have a complete understanding of the play, and that's our fault. It was a new play as far as blocking scheme, but didn't have to handle the backside edge. And again, that's we didn't obviously coach it well enough.
Yeah, Hugh, earlier you were saying you're pretty close with Eli, that you know him and you like him. Talk to me about how you got to know him. Is it through Gus?
Yeah, through Gus. He was an assistant with Gus, and then throughout the years, I don't know where we started, truthfully, developing a friendship, but it came pretty naturally, and we gravitate to one another, and our wives do when we are at common places, and whether it's SEC meetings or whether it's the Peach Bowl Classic or I don't know. We just kind of, I think we're made of a similar mindset of what coaching should be about, and the bigger picture of trying to keep the bigger picture of the impacting of others as important as the wins and losses, which is very difficult to do. I think we see all of those things very, very similarly. He's a person of faith. So we just, I don't know, the friendship's real, genuine. We talk about a lot of things. We talk very frequently, truthfully, and we've talked twice this week already, and I've got to cut him off. But he, and he's got some other friends there too that have coached with me. So but the great thing is it's a genuine, real friendship, not just a professional something. Very similar to Gus and I.
All right, that's our time with Hugh Freeze from earlier in the day down there on campus, talking about the trip out to Missouri. We've known a long time that Eli and him have been friends through Gus Malzahn. A little compliment there for DJ Durkin, the defensive coordinator, for what he's doing with that Auburn defense.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the defense, they probably have played well enough for you to be undefeated. I mean, even in the Georgia game, I mean, you look at what State was able to do offensively against Georgia. I mean, if you gave Auburn, or if you gave State Auburn's defensive performance, State might win that game.
That's right.
I mean, so I think they've played well enough defensively. It's not been perfect, but they've played well enough for you to be undefeated. In a lot of cases, it was offensive turnovers.
Put them in a bad spot.
Put you in a bad spot, yeah. So I don't know that it's been the best defense in the conference or in the country, but I think if you're an Auburn fan, you're pretty happy with what DJ Durkin has done for the most part. There were a couple games there, the New Mexico game and the Cal game, where both teams got off to a really good first half start, and in the second half, they did very little. And it was turnovers that hurt you in that Cal game. So I think defensively you're okay with what Auburn has done.
But interesting to see what Missouri's made of before they come and play Alabama against Auburn this weekend. They beat UMass 45-3, and if you were not paying attention, and I do not expect you to have paid attention, we talked about it back in the summer, that was a road game for Missouri at one of the worst football programs, worst stadiums in college football at UMass. 45-3. They won the game easily. I just think they even said this on ESPN, college football final. Why is Missouri playing at UMass?
A lot of people were asking that question, and I don't know if you saw it, but you know how they show the video before during game day with like, here's so-and-so arriving. There was a video of UMass arriving. It literally looked like they were walking in a middle school facility.
Yeah.
Walking into the locker room. I mean, it was semi-embarrassing for an SEC team to be playing up there. Like, I mean, I just think the SEC brand doesn't need to be walking in the stadium. You play UMass at home all you want. It doesn't do anything for me, but I know it's paying a check for UMass. I don't know if you want that SEC brand playing at UMass. That was a bad look.
All right, so there's our extended shows, and still one more to go in 15 minutes. Back here, you'll get Unlocked with Lance and Brock Heward. They'll talk a little college football and a lot of NFL football for you. That's coming up on Unlocked at the top of the hour. We'll see you